attack. As cybercrime escalates, ThrottleNet is calling on businesses to strengthen their security posture by taking a free online IT security audit right from your desk. This 3-minute online assessment provides an immediate score to see security gaps and vulnerabilities in your network. For 26 years, ThrottleNet has supported your business IT everything right here in St. Louis. In fact, no client of ThrottleNet has ever paid a ransom. So visit throttlenet.com/971 to take the free assessment today.
KFTK FM Florissant from the Kaufman Townsley, St. Louis's Injury Lawyers Studio. Call 314-777-7777.
That's 314-777-7777.
A tragedy on a runway remains under investigation. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News.
It's incredibly sad. It's troubling.
U.S. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy after visiting the crash site at LaGuardia Airport in New York, where an Air Canada jet that had just landed last night hit a fire truck, killing 2 pilots, injuring more than 40 other people.
I just want to let America know that we are working our hearts out to make sure that when people travel, whether by rail or car or by air, that they travel safely.
He says the accident is a reminder to wear a seatbelt. At a briefing alongside the FAA administrator, NTSB, New York governor, and New York City mayor, the fire truck was responding to an incident involving a different jet when it was hit. Flights just resuming at LaGuardia 2 hours ago after a ground stop since last night. President Trump giving Iran 5 more days to reopen the Strait of Hormuz, extending the deadline as he announced talks with U.S. envoys, saying Iran wants peace and wants to make a deal.
It could very well end up being a very good deal for everybody, as good as if we went all the way and just literally annihilated the place.
Iran's parliament speaker has denied any negotiations with the U.S., suggesting the president's trying to manipulate financial markets. Speaking earlier in Memphis, the president also sending a message about the fight over Homeland Security funding.
Republicans do not settle with Democrats and let them out of this hole that they've buried themselves in.
He says Republicans should tie DHS spending to the Save America Act, which includes voter ID. Democrats pushing for immigration enforcement reform have proposed funding DHS agencies other than ICE and blame Republicans for the ongoing partial government shutdown. Hope about talks with Iran sending oil prices sinking and stocks soaring. The Dow up 631 points at the bell, even higher during the session. America is listening to Fox News.
I'm Boomer Esiason. My mom died from cancer. She was only 37 years old. She didn't have life insurance, and that was devastating for my family. That's why having life insurance is so important to me. Ethos makes it fast and easy. Get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. You can get up to $3 million in coverage with no medical exam.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/save. That's ethos.com/save. Paid spokesperson. Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required.
Hear that? That's Mike. He took ZQL Pure Z's, so now he's sleeping soundly on a Sunday night. ZQL Pure Z's are fast-acting melatonin gummies with a complementary botanical blend to help Mike get the sleep he needs to wake up refreshed and ready to conquer Monday.
Let's do this Monday.
ZQL Pure Z's, just for sleep. Really great sleep. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Use as directed.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation. Weather.
Partly sunny skies as we go through our Monday afternoon. This is the coolest day of the week, 59. Tonight, some clouds going down to 42. Tuesday, sunny, 65 later on in the day on Tuesday after a chilly start. Wednesday, partly sunny, 74. Opening day on Thursday, partly sunny, almost hot. 89, 90 degrees. Should be a record breaker on Thursday afternoon. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
This hour of the Mark Reardon Show is sponsored by Gamma Tree Experts. Your trees deserve the best care. Call Gamma Tree Experts. This is the Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk.
Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. As we open the show, I'm looking at a Fox monitor here, which shows this airplane at LaGuardia. And Fred, as he will share with you here this afternoon, he was just there at LaGuardia 1 week ago today. So this accident is terrible. And I'm really, I am shocked that more people weren't killed. I mean, the 2 pilots were killed. If you haven't heard about it, this happened around I think it might have been 10:45 our time, right? Eastern time, 11:45 last night. You had a fire truck that was crossing this, it was just the runways, right?
Yeah.
And they were heading to an emergency. The pilot was landing at the same time. It looks at this point, and we're going to have some audio here from Sean Duffy, who's the transportation secretary. This was human error from the
air traffic
controller. But, I mean, if you see this video, now there's full video out. It's very grainy. It's a security camera. You can see the crash, like, in real time. And I cannot believe that the only two people at this point who were killed were the pilots.
Oh,
it is
really?
stunning when you look at it. I don't know how the people in the fire truck survived here. They say that there was a flight attendant that was right in the front. She got ejected from the plane when it happened. So there are people in the hospital, and I don't know if there's people that have, critical injuries at this point. But, this is like, it's not like it's happening every week, but let's be honest. In the last year, these things like these near-miss collisions or collisions on runways seem to have accelerated, right? And Fred, like you were saying right before the show, you were there a week ago, right?
Yeah, I was there at that exact, Monday morning 1 week ago at LaGuardia. Beautiful airport. A lot of it has been redone.
Oh.
I hope Lambert looks that way when it's finished.
Isn't
looks
it the
great.
same group that's doing LaGuardia? I think it is.
Then that
that's
portends
good.
well. 'Cause
Yeah.
it's really nicely
So
done.
what's funny that you bring that up is we have Jeff Rainford scheduled for the bottom of the hour. There was a piece that was written by a guy in the City Journal. His name is Jordan Duker. I don't believe he's any relation to Jane, although the credit on the piece said that he worked for a former governor, so I'm not sure.
Spelled differently, though.
It is spelled differently, right? But he wrote a very optimistic piece in the Manhattan Journal about the city of St. Louis, and maybe having it is, but I'm a little doubtful of some of the things he said. But the reason I bring it up is because he mentioned that. He mentioned the airport renovation, and I think he did say that it was the same folks doing LaGuardia. We'll get back to that crash here, and I have some audio in a couple of minutes. Charles Lipson's going to kick us off guest-wise at 3:18. We're going to talk about Iran, where we are with that, where we are with gas prices that are, sky high right now. But let's talk a little March Madness as we get going here this afternoon. Ethan, I knew Mizzou was going to lose on Friday night. You just felt it coming. You were credentialed, so you went over to the arena. You were there on Sunday yesterday too, weren't you?
Yes, I was. You were being a little bit of a killjoy on Friday, but I very quickly realized that you were 100% right. They, from the start, were terrible on Friday night. And it's a shame because St. Louis showed out. I bet that 80% of that place was absolutely packed with black and gold. There was over 17,000 people in attendance, and it was loud. It was rowdy. It felt like that crowd was just on the verge of just going crazy the entire game, waiting for that moment. And they had a couple of moments in the second half. They took the lead with like 5 minutes left for briefly.
I think they had a 1-point lead or something.
And then Miami
boom.
went on like a 15-0 run, and that was it.
You remember Dennis Gates said this before the game. I brought this up with Frank. I wasn't trying to, and I think I understood what Coach Gates meant. I wasn't trying to say that the crowd on Friday was not going to be overwhelmingly, for Missouri. But what he was saying is, in these games, it just sometimes doesn't matter, and it didn't matter. And unfortunately, look, the way I look at it is, and I'm a fan from a long time ago, and I started covering the team in the mid-1980s through 1997. So I've been up and down with the good times and the bad times with Mizzou. My concern here, and I like Coach Gates quite a bit, and he's got a huge recruiting class coming in, is the last 2 years the team has collapsed in exactly the same way. They peaked in the middle of February, and that was it. And you don't go into the NCAA tournament with a 3-game losing streak and have any kind of optimism that you're going to do well, and that's what happened. Now, on the SLU front, obviously, they were up against it, playing a number 1 seed, and it didn't turn out so well. But I did love what Coach Schertz said in the locker room in the aftermath of this, because this was great. And what a team. I mean, Frank's going to talk about this. He's covered that team for decades and decades. He'll be with us a little bit later this afternoon in the 4 o'clock hour. But here is Coach Schertz in the locker room after the loss.
You guys did make history. Regular season champions, got this team to the tournament, won a game in the NCAA tournament, played the best team in the country on the biggest stage, and left everything out there together. That is, with time, a hell of a journey. And the most important part of any journey is who you do it with.
Look, they were up against it with the seed playing, like he indicated. Michigan is really good, probably a little better than I thought they were, just because I hadn't watched them so much. But, and Sue, I don't know if you paid attention. It was a crazy weekend. Really, a couple of great games yesterday, and the Florida Iowa game was incredible. That's who they played, right? Not Iowa State, because both Iowa teams got into the tournament. That was really something else, and it finishes like with 1 second left, or really no seconds left on the clock. Florida tries to get a bucket in there to win the game, and they just couldn't do it. So the national champs from last year go down. They are not in the Sweet 16.
Yeah, that was a crazy game, and coached by the guy that was at last year. Who did Mizzou lose to in the first round last year? They got upset by a small team.
Is that the guy who took the Iowa gig?
Yeah. What's his name? What team is that? Come on, help me out. Bennett Sturtz was also he was the star player for that team, but they both came from Northwest Missouri State a couple of years ago. I'm completely blanking on his name, but remember that last year? That was like a real feel-good story. Local guy, Fred. And so they have completely resurrected that program. Their first time making it to the Sweet 16, I think, in over 20 years, 25 years.
Yeah. One of the national broadcasters after the game said, we got to give this coach a ton of credit. He came from Missouri, from a small college in Missouri, stepped up.
Oh, he was at,
great.
okay, now I know this. He was at Northwest Missouri State, and they have had, Northwest Missouri State has had an incredible basketball program for decades, right? Decades.
At the D2 level.
But they're at the D2 level, right. So I guess it says, on the AI is telling did he take a gig at Drake for 1 year?
Drake,
that's
where he was. He was at Drake, yes.
They beat Mizzou in the round of 64. That's what it was.
Yes.
That's why I knew that name, too, Bennett Sturtz. Okay, that makes a lot more sense. Well, that was a hell of a game.
And he's their star player. And
yeah.
he didn't hit that game-winning shot last night, but he had the assist on it. I mean, he was phenomenal last night. So feel-good story there, semi-local story with them advancing. The Nebraska Vanderbilt game, buzzer beater.
There's a story because look, what's funny about that is, and I worked with a guy in Milwaukee. His name was Dan Walsh. I loved him. He was one of my producers, actually. He was a big Nebraska guy, and this goes back to when Nebraska was good in football.
Yes,
and they never were really great in basketball. I covered some Nebraska teams that were pretty decent. There was a coach named Danny Nee back in the '80s, but they could never really pop through. And I don't think had they ever been to the Sweet 16. I don't think they'd ever been to the Sweet 16.
No, this is their first Sweet 16.
Right. So then I saw some, and I got to take it because it's the truth, but I saw some Nebraska fans with tweets that said, Nebraska's never been to the Sweet 16. Now they've won more games in the NCAA tournament than Mizzou has in like the last 10 years or something like that. Something ridiculous like that. But look, now we're kind of in the sports, what would you kind of call it, twilight zone, Fred, because there really won't be much on tonight. There'll be maybe some NIT action, and then baseball doesn't start till later this week. Now, on that front, we're gonna cover the Cardinals and get some folks on this week. Ethan will not be here because he's going to be covering the game on Thursday, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep, I'll be at the ballpark opening day. Supposed to be nice and toasty. High of 93.
Can you believe that? So, Sue, what was your opinion of because it was, Alexa and I were out and about on Saturday. Mom was traveling, went to Kansas City. So we were doing a bunch of different things, and we did a lot outside, and it was legit hot on Saturday afternoon.
I went out, Jana and I were walking Forest Park, and I thought, man, this is ridiculous. And then 2 hours later, it was 58 degrees, and the wind was blowing like a banshee.
Right. Yeah. So we had weird weather over the weekend, but we'll get Dave Murray on maybe Wednesday. We're looking at really, really warm temperatures, but it is a bit of a back and forth. You get a couple of warm days, and then it's cool. But that's weather in the spring in St. Louis, right?
And it was 35 this morning when I got up. Yes. So I mean, it certainly is all over the place.
I made the mistake of, and I know Fred. If I ask Fred this question, he's going to say no. But look, I put the damn air conditioning on when it was hot.
Let me tell you. Sunday,
all right, here we go.
No way.
Sunday, I cut the grass.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Joyce, my neighbor, helped me change the oil in my lawnmower.
No, she didn't.
I think I was messing it up.
You've got to be kidding me.
Oh, no.
Joyce?
I'm speechless.
Yep. She came over and
I am
changed the oil.
speechless.
Thank you.
That's right. So after I finished cutting the grass, I went inside, and I was just so hot.
Yes.
Marie was working, so I turned on the air conditioning.
Yeah, you go, Fred.
Oh, no. And as soon as she came home, she said, it's going to drop 50 degrees in like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So it's off.
Right. But I had it on, and then so last night I just turned it off, and I didn't have the heat on, and I had the window open in my bedroom, and it's like 5 o'clock. I'm like, damn, it's cold in here. I forgot to close the windows, and then I woke up to 66 degrees in the house, which, hey, that's 2 degrees warmer than Fred's normal temperature.
That's a good point.
I should have been very happy with that. All right, Fred, what do we got going today? We got Charles Lipson coming up here in a couple of minutes. I mentioned that piece that was in the City Journal. Look, it's a very positive piece on St. Louis. You know how glass half full I am all the time, but we'll kind of attack that with Jeff Rainford, who is a regular on the roundtable, of course. We'll have Sue's News on a Monday in the next hour. David Stokes from the Show Me Institute. You know, we have this plan that Governor Kehoe and a lot of Republicans are working on, not only to get rid of the state income tax, but perhaps this has been a long-time effort to get rid of the earnings tax here in St. Louis. Cusumano will be with us back from Buffalo. He was out there for the weekend. We'll talk a little sports at 4:50. Joe Nocera from the Free Press after 5. And then, you know, one of the questions that I have going back to the Cardinals here, and I've had listeners who have expressed this as well, I literally have no idea how I'm going to watch the game on Thursday or any games. I just don't know unless they're on like Apple TV Plus, because I was getting my Cardinals and Blues through FanDuel as an add-on with Prime. So right now, if I want to watch a Blues game, I go to Prime and it's there. And that's how the Cardinals work. But I don't think I can do that anymore. So I think, Fred, how are you going to get the games? Cable? Because you have cable.
Yeah, AT&T.
Okay, so I think you still have it on there.
Right.
But they don't have, I have YouTube TV. So they're not on YouTube TV.
No.
I think my move is MLB TV. And then it's $100 or whatever it is for the Cardinals, to have the in-market games. But I don't know. We're going to find out from Martin Coco, who's the director of marketing for the Cardinals, in the 5 o'clock hour. We're off and running here on a Monday edition of the Mark Reardon Show.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
On the roads, all right, it's not that bad. We do have a little bit of volume. 70 westbound looks great, but 64 is a little bit slow there at McCausland and then again at Lake St. Louis Boulevard. Moderate volume southbound 270 from Olive down through Doherty Ferry. 55 is pretty slow, headed down toward Bates. We look fine on the Poplar Street Bridge, but there's some volume eastbound 70 coming off the Stan Musial Veterans Memorial Bridge, that all due to road work. It's slow at the 64 split. This report brought to you by Barron Mirror Glass and Door. They have the largest, most beautiful showroom in all of St. Louis. It's full of the latest, most custom designs, located in Chesterfield Valley. And there you'll see why they say creativity unlimited, quality unsurpassed. I'm Sue Thomas. That's traffic. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Missouri's laws are clear. Unregulated gaming devices are illegal. Companies have been telling businesses that gray market machines are legal. That's wrong. Don't be scammed. If you have these devices at your business, you could be subject to criminal and civil penalties. Unplug and remove these devices today.
If you've been approached to host illegal gaming machines, call now. 800-523-1434 or visit ago.mo.gov. Sponsored by the Attorney General's Office.
Achoo!
Ah, the sounds of spring. We can't clean the air outside, but we can clean the air inside your home. Purify the air inside your home with an air scrubber. Through the end of March, get a free air scrubber with a full HVAC system and carrier cool cash rebates up to $2,600. The air scrubber removes air pollen, VOCs, surface contaminants, pet dander, odors, and more. Visit aircomfortservice.com/specials to claim your free air scrubber. That's aircomfortservice.com/specials.
Hey, it's Mark Cox here with my friend and trusted realtor Gloria Liu of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Gloria, we've worked together for 6 years now. You have 23 years of experience with your Guaranteed Sold program, but many don't know you also have a guaranteed multiple cash offer program for serious sellers.
That's right. Some sellers are looking for speed, certainty, and to avoid repairs and open houses. I just helped a family in December to sell their parents' estate. They chose me because I offered 4 cash offers at our first meeting, which gave them options picking the best cash offer. Whether it's multiple cash offers or my Guaranteed Sold program, my sellers are always in control to sell fast and for the most money. It's my guarantees and my buyers in waiting program that set me apart from other realtors.
Take it from me. Call Gloria Liu right now at 314-325-6888. That's 314-325-6888. Or visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com.
Gloria and seller must agree upon price and possession date.
If you live in Missouri, have Medicaid, and need a caregiver, this message is important. Care at home is personal. That's why you may not want a stranger in your home to take care of you. You want someone who already knows you and your daily routines. With Freedom Care, you choose a trusted family member, a friend, or a neighbor. They will get paid after every shift to care for you, and it's 100% free to you. More than 70,000 people have already joined the Freedom Care family. Call your local Freedom Care. They'll check your Medicaid eligibility. Don't wait until a stranger shows up at your door. If you have Medicaid and need help at home, this care is available 100% free to you. Call Freedom Care now to see if you qualify. 314-343-1362. 314-343-1362. That's 314-343-1362.
Freedom Care, we're here for you.
You're listening to The Mark Reardon Show, 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
All right, some questions about Iran that came up this morning in a gaggle. Caitlin Collins, I think, from CNN, who likes to kind of battle with Trump, asking some questions.
You said there's many points of agreement with Iran right now.
Many.
What, can you give us a
Many, like 15 points. 15 points.
Iran has said yes.
Well, they're not going to have a nuclear weapon. That's number one. That's number 1, 2, and 3. They will never have a nuclear weapon.
They said yes to that?
They've agreed to that.
Yeah, so President Trump actually indicating that there's some negotiation that's going on right now. He was asked about the Strait of Hormuz.
Be jointly controlled.
By who?
Maybe me. Maybe me.
You want the United States to be
Me and the Ayatollah, whoever the Ayatollah is, whoever the next Ayatollah. Look, and there'll also be a form of a very serious form of a regime change.
So one of the big, stories that has emerged here in the last day is that he announced he's postponing a planned military strike or planned military strikes on the energy infrastructure for 5 days because he feels like there are, quote, good and productive talks with Tehran. Our friend Charles Lipson, professor emeritus at the University of Chicago, back with us this afternoon. He writes at Real Clear Politics, The Spectator, and charleslipson.com. Hello, Charles. Good afternoon. How are you?
Great to talk to you.
What do you make of the 5-day pause and negotiations with people in Tehran? And we're not really even clear who we're talking to, but it seems like we're back on a diplomatic effort here.
I'm not optimistic about this diplomatic effort. I think it allows us time. It allows Trump to show the world that he's willing to negotiate if the Iranians are willing to give up key elements of our demands. It also allows some of our on-the-ground troops who are coming in, Marines coming in from Asia, to get to the Straits on time. And it allows ships, it appears, to get through the Straits of Hormuz, which relieves some of the backlog of ships that have been held up and driving up oil prices. Me, being a brilliant political scientist, decided to drive halfway across the country while prices were rising.
Nice work there.
Every exit I hit, the prices were another penny higher.
Look, I saw someone earlier today on Twitter say, and maybe there's a bit of an overriding notion of this from some folks who are fully supportive of what we're doing in Iran, that, spiking gas prices in the whole scheme of things is not a big deal. It's a small sacrifice to make considering what we're doing for the world. And that's all well and good. However, this is a president who campaigned on, improving the economy, was bragging just a few weeks ago about low gas prices. And to your point, look, they've moved about $1 higher here in St. Louis. I'm very fortunate. I can absorb, costs like that. A lot of people can't. So I think I might be the outlier here, Charles, but I think in your column you expressed some very deep concern as well. I'm very worried about the way this is going right now because I don't know that we have a clear path to a resolution. And this thing drags on, and I want to make sure that people are clear. I don't care if we remove everyone in Iran and we take down all of their military. What I'm worried about is our country here and a midterm ass-kicking that's going to give a lot more power to the Democrats than we ever want.
You and your technical talk about ass-kicking.
I know, right?
I know, man. I would separate the oil and gas issue into two parts. If it's a short-term spike, that's one thing. If this lasts for months, that's a different matter and will hurt at the midterms. If it goes back down in a month and a half.
I agree. Yeah.
Then that's that. Now, I think what the Trump administration has generally said, not always, but generally said, is that their main demands are no nukes, no ability to build nukes, no ballistic missiles, no ability to build ballistic missiles, and stop funding the terrorists. And I think, by the way, the latter, funding the terrorists, may end because they simply don't have the money to do it anymore. But I think hidden under all that, they really do want regime change, because I don't think that it's just hard for me to believe that the current regime will either agree to it, or if they do agree to it, will live up to what they promised.
Well, so then that becomes an issue. How do you define, what is victory here, and how do you? Because look, as you indicated,
Exactly.
if you have failure here, if you have this dragging on, that is going to be brutal when it comes to the political consequences for the Republicans. It also puts all kinds of people in question moving forward, like J.D. Vance in the position that he's had on these foreign interventions. So there's a lot of interesting politics going along with all of this, and I think it was wise for the administration to say at the beginning, look, this is going to be 4 to 6 weeks, but we're already at 3.5 weeks at this point, right?
I agree. I think it seems like we're living on a tick-tock attention span now. Everything has to be very, very fast, and I agree with that. I want to say one thing about President Trump. I think this was an incredibly courageous thing of him to do. It's possible it won't work out. The reason I say it was courageous is that I don't think he had to do it, that the negative things that he was talking about, the ability to overwhelm all of our allies and to reach Europe and so forth with literally dozens and dozens of missiles, more than can be shot down, to put potentially nuclear arms on the tip of those missiles. Those would have happened after his presidency. But he was not willing to and he could have simply said, I'm a domestic-oriented president. I promise not to get involved overseas, and I won't, and let future presidents deal with the problem, which was what Obama and Biden did. I think it was courageous of Trump. Now, whether it was smart is something we won't know for the next couple of weeks, maybe 3-4 weeks.
Oh, maybe longer than that, right?
That's right, because it's possible that the regime could fall or be incoherent, but a new regime may not be able to stand up and govern the country right away. There may be breakaway elements, regional breakaways. There may also be large numbers of armed Islamicists left over from the old regime. They'll be trying to protect themselves. And remember, they've committed so many heinous crimes. It's not that they'll be dragged into The Hague before the International Court of Justice. It's that other people in Iran will try to kill them.
Well, that's right. Now, so who do you think? Let me play another soundbite here.
They want peace. They've agreed they will not have a nuclear weapon, et cetera, et cetera. But we'll see. You have to get it done. But I would say there's a very good chance. And it began when I said that I won't be. We were planning tomorrow on shooting down some of their power plants, and we're going to hold that up. Hopefully we won't have to do it. And hopefully we can make a deal that's good for all of us, including the Middle Eastern allies that have been very good to us, including Israel, that's been a great partner in this fight.
So the president was in Memphis when he said that. He also said this about some Iranian leaders.
Keep us posted as these discussions continue. James, great to have you on. Thank you.
I'm not sure. That was not the soundbite that I was looking for there, but he had some complimentary things. So, Charles, my question for you is, who is he talking to? And is he talking to the right people? Because he does sound like he's trying to go down this diplomatic path and that they're having some level of success.
As I say, I'm skeptical whether they'll have success. They are negotiating, and the people who are negotiating are not Iran experts. They're negotiating experts. They're people who do real estate deals and so forth, and they're the people he's seconded to do this all over the world. I think what was striking in that clip was his willingness to thank Israel, because there's been a strong movement on the extreme right that says Israel dragged America into it and so forth. That I think is false. I think that we had a coherent. Both sides were really seeking something similar. That's not to say that they have the same end game, and it may be that the Israelis prompted the timing of the strike because they were the ones who found out that there would be that meeting with all
they had the intel,
leaders.
maybe. Right, exactly.
But Trump had already moved all the people into the region, and that they weren't there just as a show of force. They were there to strike. But I think he was trying to, in effect, signal in that case the extreme right that you couldn't drive a wedge, an anti-Semitic wedge into the MAGA movement.
But the way that he was talking today, and some of this was yesterday when he was in Florida, or maybe this morning before he left, that Jared Kushner and Steve Witkoff are having discussions, and we're having discussions with negotiations set to continue. Now, he didn't really say who they were, and he also did indicate that they have not spoken with the Supreme Leader, the new Supreme Leader, that's the son of the old Supreme Leader. He said that if there's an agreement reached, they would move to take control of Iran's enriched uranium tied to its disputed nuclear program, because if you listen to what he said this morning, he seemed to indicate that that was part of the deal. We got to have that. We got to have access to that. Yeah. And he was optimistic about getting access to that. So I'm confused because if you bring them to their knees and they have nothing else to do, then maybe they're going to make these decisions. But it did seem a little surprising considering they're attacking all their neighbors as well.
Well, they're attacking their neighbors has backfired on them. Well, the idea of attacking their neighbors was that if things had worked out the way the Ayatollahs wanted them to, then the neighbors would be putting pressure on the U.S. to end this quickly. That hasn't happened. It's just infuriated the neighbors. And what they've also recognized is that now is that Iran has control over the Straits of Hormuz, and if you let Iran control the Straits of Hormuz and you are an oil exporter, that's very bad news. But I personally, as I've said, I'm skeptical that these negotiations will lead to a good outcome. I hope they do, but I'm skeptical, and that will require intensive monitoring, which means you've got to bring in outsiders, and we won't let the UN do it because they're not trustworthy.
Nor should we. Yeah, we should not do that. Charles Lipson, you can read more at charleslipson.com. Great stuff this afternoon. I hope your travels have taken you somewhere fun.
They have, and I always loved in my trip passing through the boot heel.
There you go. Are you down in the South? Is that what I'm hearing?
I'm in Austin right now, and I plan to stay here for a while. My wife and I are basically relocating from Chicago to Austin.
Oh, that's awesome.
I love it here. But I want to get up to Lambert's, home of the Throwed Rolls.
Yes, you have to get up there. You know Sykeston, Missouri. Charles, thank you so much. We'll talk soon. We'll see you. All right, bye.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Looking good through North County. Westbound 70 in good shape. Little slow at Wentzville. 64, some moderate volume. Approaching Clayton Skinker through 170. Slowing in both directions at 270. And then moderate volume Highway N out through the 70 split. Southbound 270, only moderate volume at this hour. But that's from Olive down through Doherty Ferry. 44, a little bit slow at 270. And 55 is already slowing, headed down toward Bates. On the Illinois side, take the Poplar Street Bridge. It's fine. It's slow coming off of the Stan Musial Veterans Memorial Bridge. And 64 eastbound, slowing right around 157 due to road work. I'm Sue Thomas. That's traffic. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Oh, Banner Construction's an awesome company here in St. Louis, and they've been for 33 years now. They had a big celebration. They started in 1993, so we had an anniversary celebration a couple years ago. But they've been really priding themselves on quality craftsmanship with their creative work on exterior home restoration. Now, for you, that means you have dull, light, plain vinyl siding. You want to do something to make your home look a lot better, and you want a great team to do it with. So this is your biggest investment. You want to be careful with the people that cut corners to win your business. And when you have great products like James Hardie fiber cement siding and Pella replacement windows, Banner is a preferred Hardie and Pella window specialist. So they're chosen by those companies to stand out because they have so much experience installing these products like the Hardy siding on homes and the Pella windows as well. They're going to show you, and they can be affordable design options that maybe you've never even thought you had. They know how much you love your home. They'd like you, and this is really the goal of Banner, to fall in love with your home all over again. Get them in for a free design consultation. You don't want to miss out on that. 314-569-1050. The website, bannerconstruction.com.
This is Congressman Bob Onder. Tax season is here, and Missouri families are already seeing the real impact of the Working Families Tax Cut Act. House Republicans are delivering real results for hardworking Missourians. According to the Council of Economic Advisors, the bill is projected to raise wages in Missouri by about $3,000 to $6,000 over the next 4 years. That's more money for groceries, gas, and greater security for your family's future. In Congress, I'm working to protect working families, strengthen our economy, and ensure you are keeping more of your hard-earned money.
Paid for by official funds authorized by the House of Representatives.
Bringing a data center online takes more than equipment. It takes precision. Graybar helps customers predict, stage, schedule, deliver, and verify every step of the build with critical products that are available now. From networking and wireless to critical power and testing tools, our teams help you reduce downtime risk and keep projects on track. Speed, scale, ready now. Yep, Graybar does that.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
And this portion of the show is sponsored by Jerry Kelly, heating, air conditioning, electrical, and plumbing.
From Collinsville to Chesterfield, 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
So I found a story that was in the City Journal over the weekend about St. Louis. It was written by a guy named Jordan Duker. No relation, I don't believe, to Jane Duker. The spelling is different. It said in the bio that he had worked for a Missouri governor. But it was a very positive piece on St. Louis for the most part. The question asked was, can St. Louis make a comeback? My very cynical, response on Twitter was, nope. Sadly, it cannot. Well, I mean, I don't have optimism that it can. Now, he paints a picture here that is a lot more rosy than I think we can ever land in, but maybe he's right about this. But even some of the stuff that's discussed in the piece, for example, he goes, public disorder reinforces the perception that parts of St. Louis remain unsafe. Listen to this, Sue. The Central Library, I'm looking at it right now. It's right across the street. He says an ornate Cass Gilbert structure functions largely as a daytime homeless shelter. Roadside litter remains pervasive despite millions of dollars spent on cleanup. Bob Clark, founder of construction giant Coco, recently said that he had seen less public litter during recent travels in Africa than in parts of St. Louis. He goes, it's not even a maintenance issue. It's an issue of trash in the brain. When you don't have pride in your community, you throw trash out the window. I think he's right about that. Now, Jeff Rainford is here, former chief of staff for Mayor Slade. We've talked many times about these issues on the roundtable, and I wanted to get his response to this piece. Hi, Jeff. How are you this afternoon?
I'm doing well, Mark. How are you?
Good. Do you know this guy, by the way, Jordan Duker? You know anything about him?
I don't. I mean, I thought the piece was well written, but it was a little bit like if Jeff Rainford were tall, dark, and handsome, he would date supermodels, right? I mean, I do think, from my point of view, I'm going to ring the alarm because I do think St. Louis has some amazing things, and he mentioned some of them, the symphony, the fact that we are not just the chess capital of the country, we're known around the world. But if we are way past, both as a city and as a region, where little minor cleanups or little minor steps forward are going to be good enough. We need to do some big, major things in order to turn the city around and turn the region around. And I don't think you can do that unless you tell the truth about where you are.
So, when we had dinner a couple weeks ago, Jeff, and there were some people, movers and shakers there. And one thing you admitted, and I think I share this with you, you are very cynical on the city. There are people that are a lot more optimistic. We have them on the show from time to time. Certainly Jordan and his piece seems more optimistic. But what's holding the city back? I know there's not one thing, but obviously the financial constraints. You can't really do a whole lot about that. The political leadership with Kara seems to be better on track. He even points out in his piece that, we're going to have a pretty good test of maybe where the community is because Cori Bush is back in this race against Wesley Bell. I mean, good Lord, Rainford, if she wins, I'll consider it a gift to my show, but we don't want the region to have to suffer those consequences. So that's going to be interesting as well.
Yeah, I think that there are a lot of warning signs going on with the city. First of all, I agree with you with Mayor Spencer. I think she's a step in the right direction. I think the governor is a step in the right direction for St. Louis. He came from St. Louis. So, and we have people like Bob Clark, you mentioned, Rex Singfield, and others who are heavily, supportive of and putting their money where their mouths are with St. Louis. Mentioned the Symphony Building and some of the other things. I mean, we've got some positives, but at the end of the day, the city of St. Louis has some real problems, and one is the St. Louis Public Schools, which are in a deep downward spiral. And what's going to happen after that? Can you have a city without any children in it, or with a lot fewer children in it? City government, with the studies I've seen, even before the kerfluffle with the police board, is on track to basically having structural deficits like they've had in St. Louis County starting in 2 or 3 years. The county ran out of money. Really, at the end of the day, we need to do our airport. I know he praised it. I do like the construction plan, but then you have to ask yourself at the airport, what's going on with the leadership where nobody was paying attention and was aware that the major project he's talking about did not include moving the car rental companies onto the airport grounds, and nobody noticed that. I mean,
that
there
is
are a
stunning.
lot of things
that
have
really
to change in St. Louis, and they have to, and they're big things.
Yeah, that's a big mistake there. How can that even happen? I mean,
exactly.
Yeah. Dude, I don't know. That's crazy. Then he points, and by the way, Fred tells me Jordan's going to come on the show tomorrow at 5, so we'll have a little bit more information from him. But he points out that more than one third of the $498 million from COVID relief funds is unspent. You have the Rams funds still trying to figure out what to do with that. Why is that taking so long? Why can't Kara take the lead there? Is there just too much issue with the Board of Aldermen and say, all right, here's what we're going to do, have some leadership and do this stuff and spend the money in a wise way?
Well, you got to split those up into twos because there's no rush to spend the Rams money, and I would rather them spend it slowly than stupidly, which was what the county executive in St. Louis County just wanted to use it to paper over deficits rather than actually facing the deficit. With the federal money, there was a deadline on it. Kara just took office less than a year ago. It was a previous administration that was really goofing that up and took too long. They had 4 years to spend it, and they burned through the 4 years without spending it, simply, I believe, out of incompetence. She's trying to rush that money out the door. It's hard to blame her for that when, the previous administration had 4 years and to spend it, didn't do it. She's got one. The Rams money, again, I hope they're thoughtful about it. It's going to be really difficult there. What the city has to do is at the same time, it has to get its fiscal house in order because it has to provide good city services, good police, good fire, fill potholes, cut the grass, do all those things, take care of the infrastructure, which we talked a few weeks ago.
Right.
But it also needs to have policies to grow the city's economy. The city needs more, not less. When you tax things, I know I'm a Democrat. When you tax things, you get less of it. If you cut services, you're going to get fewer people. So while they're managing this budget, they also have to figure out how to, grow the population, grow the economy, bring more private sector jobs in. And some of that will have to do with, tax policy. Some of that will have to do with the regulatory. I mean, we're going in the wrong direction with this thing where the city's going to tell private building owners, what energy standards they have to have.
It's ridiculous.
And we go on the Republican side, we need to consolidate stuff within city government, within the region, and state control is just the opposite. We're now going to have 2 different garages, one for police and one for the rest of the city on fleet maintenance, building maintenance. We're going to have 2 sets of human services. I mean, we're going in the wrong direction on a lot of these things, not the right direction.
Jeff Rainford with us this afternoon. Just one more question on the tax policy. Obviously, you've been someone who has been interested in getting rid of this earnings tax for a long time. During the Slade administration, you guys were talking about that. Then that goes away. And, not completely, obviously. Rex is someone who's worked on this issue. But what is the path, or is there one, to get rid of that?
Yeah. So here's the idea I have, and I may be the only one who has it. So the state of Missouri, and it's a little complicated, I'll try to keep it simple. The state of Missouri, the governor is proposing to get rid of the state income tax and replace it by extending the sales tax to services.
Right.
Services could be like, your mechanic or your plastic surgeon or whatever it is, to extend it to services. Well, that extending the sales tax to services would also apply at the local level, right? So the city of St. Louis has a sales tax, and that sales tax would also be extended to services, which would create a windfall, and that windfall could be used to buy down the earnings tax and maybe even the city gets to keep a little bit of the windfall to deal with its budget deficits. And so, in essence, you are replacing the earnings tax with a tax on services. And the math I've seen shows that that can work. And a tax on services is better than a tax on income, because we're seeing what's happening in other places in other states where places without an income tax are booming and those raising the income tax are not.
It'd just be nice to stop talking about some of these issues and start doing them. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And the reason they don't is it's easier to talk about them than do them. And the one difference between, being an ideological governor, president, or mayor is you talk when you have an ideology. But really what you need, especially out of a governor and a mayor, is you actually have to do things. And it's a lot easier to talk about things and get people to agree with your ideology than it is to do really, really hard things. And our region, as I said before, is at a point where there are no easy answers anymore. There are only hard answers, but we have to face that reality and do them.
Yep, I agree with you. Thanks, Jeff. I appreciate it. We'll catch you on the roundtable soon. Take care. All right,
yes,
we'll
sir.
see you.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Watch out for some volume westbound at 6440. This is approaching Hampton out through McCausland. It's slowing in both directions at 270. And then westbound picks up again, Highway N through the construction zone out through 70. 70 westbound, a little slow past the airport and at Wentzville, but it's not bad. Southbound 270, slow pockets Olive through Doherty Ferry. Westbound 44, slowing at 270. There was an accident eastbound 44 headed for the 55 split. At 55 southbound, it's slowing at Bates. Slow-moving traffic coming off of the Stan Musial Veterans Memorial Bridge, all due to road work. We're fine, though, on the Poplar Street Bridge. This report is brought to you by Lakeside Renovation and Design. For over 25 years, they've been St. Louis's trusted choice for doing homes again inside and out. They do windows, siding, kitchens, baths, outdoor spaces. They deliver quality craftsmanship backed by lifetime warranties. Visit lakesiderd.com to start your dream project today. I'm Sue Thomas. That's Traffic 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
You know, the team at the Retirement Advisory Group, Thomas Helbig, of course, and his nephew Bob Kershaw, Bob's wife Tammy, family-run operation, they will tell you that most people that they meet with have the same question. What can we do with this money so we can live comfortably the rest of our lives? And that's, I think, a different answer than it was 5 or 6 years ago. I think the team would tell you that just because of inflation. So you want to make sure that you get with the team. Thomas and them would love to have you over for a free consultation. There's no obligation whatsoever. And they're going to develop a strategy for you to protect your nest egg. We're going to do some more seminars with the team as the year moves on. But why wait? Why not get into the office one-on-one? They will build you your own personalized retirement income plan that will generate income the rest of your life. And they have a little bit of a different, philosophy, if you will, structure compared to some of the other brokerage houses. Safely linking to the market is something you'll hear, and that's to make sure you do not lose your principal. So check out the team from the Retirement Advisory Group today. It's an easy way to do that. Go online, retirementkey.com.
Brian Kilmeade is coming back to St. Louis for one night in November. Just listen to the Mark Cox Morning Show, the Annie Fry Show, and the Mark Reardon Show like you usually do. But pay attention for us to tell you when to call to win free tickets.
Hi, I'm Jane Pushkar.
I'm Lauren Greenwood.
I'm David Jaworski.
We're running for the Francis House School Board with an important message. It's time to stop wasteful spending and focus on what's most important, our children's education.
I'm running because I believe in parental rights.
I'm running because our children's future depends upon conservative involvement.
Together, we can make a huge difference. It's critical that you vote conservative on April the 7th for Pushkar, Greenwood, and Jaworski. We're number 1, 2, and 3 on the ballot.
Paid for by Francis Howe Families, Allie Beardsley Treasurer.
Beat the spring cleaning rush and call Zero Res today. Mark Cox here. It's the perfect time to clean your air ducts as you deal with allergy season coming up. This month, get a free size upgrade on every whole home air duct cleaning package. Don't you love it when you buy your favorite coffee or soda and you get a free size upgrade? That's what Zero Res is doing with this whole home air duct cleaning package. You pay less for more fresh. Go online at ZeroResSTL.com and ask for the 97.1 special. Central.
Want to make the most of your tax refund? File with TurboTax on Intuit Credit Karma. They help you get your biggest refund, and then we help you do more with it. With a personalized plan designed to help you hit your money goals. Start filing today in the Credit Karma app.
You're listening to The Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
You know, on that topic of the earnings tax and property taxes and the income tax for the state of Missouri, all these things, we're going to cover that with the Show Me Institute at 4:30 after Sue's News. David Stokes will join us this afternoon. He's got a lot. That's kind of what they do, is they focus on things along those lines. Boy, I have really good stuff that I want to share with you here this afternoon, but some of it fits a little bit better here at the top of the hour after 4:04 before we get into Sue's News. I do want to remind you that we have one final Fish Fry Friday broadcast. Fridays was excellent, wasn't it, Sue? We got through the weekend. That was a great time at Queen of All Saints. We had an excellent turnout there. That one gets, it gets loud in there. It does. The second and third hour. But see, here again, this happened like 2 weeks in a row. There was a woman that comes up. I'm on the air. I'm literally talking. And she comes up, lovely older woman. Yes. Nothing against her. And she just basically, she
Fred ran interference.
But she pokes me in the arm. Yeah. And she I'm talking on the air and she pokes me across. She goes, "Are you Mark Reardon?" I'm like, I'm literally trying to put my sentences together at the same time, which is a challenge anyway.
I understand.
Sue, but then I'm trying to wave down Fred. I'm like, "Hey, can you get it?" And finally, but and this is so confusing to me. And this happens, and it happened the week before. There are people. And I don't get the psychology. Maybe the psychology was the same for Glover when he goes over to KMOX. But I've had a fair number of people, over the last 5 years. I was on KMOX Afternoon Drive for about 15, 16 years. They switch us. Dave's show goes over there. I go over here. But every once in a while, I run into people that, man, and this happened on Friday, listen to you all the time. And the woman was insisting to Fred that she heard me on KMOX that morning. Well, they may have, because it might have been a commercial or something like that, right? So, but it seems so hard, and it's not that hard, for someone to just press FM compared to AM. I had one guy tell me last week, well, now it's easier because KMOX is on FM as well. I'm like, well, you just have to do a little preset there, and all you got to do. But the psychology of it is interesting because people, they get in their ways, right? They're very loyal to the way that they do things, and if you throw them off and you introduce someone else, I'm very convinced that there were people who never really knew what happened to me.
Oh, I'm sure.
And probably the same thing for Dave,
of it.
right? They're like, wait a second, what happened to Dave Glover? Or wait a second, what happened to Reardon? I had people that came in, and this is where it really got confusing. There's a fair number of people here in our audience, and certainly in St. Louis, that, Rainford's a good example. They don't live here during the winter. So that whole switch took place. I mean, we're almost essentially right at the anniversary of it, to be honest with you. It was right at the end of March. I went to Mexico, and when I came back, Dave's show has already started over there, and then I started here. But even then, it was hard for people to, there wasn't a big send-off or anything that announced where people were going. So people got kind of confused, and people were coming back from Florida, for example. Larry, one of my friends now, is like, hey,
think of that.
Where the hell did Reardon go? And then it never got covered. I don't think, it did. It did get covered in the Post.
A little bit,
They addressed it. But it's always nice to see the listeners. I guess that's my point. We'll have one more opportunity to do it. I really have to thank Apache Village RV Center because they make this happen, and we have resources that need to be met for live broadcasts and engineers, etc. So our thanks to Apache Village RV Center. So we'll be at Ott's Tavern and Fish Stand in Millsot, Illinois. We were there last year, and I think we closed out the Fish Fry Friday tour at that location. It was awesome. We even had Terry that came in about a month ago with some samples of food. And theirs is pretty, well, they're all unique, Sue. This is one thing we've discovered about our fish fries. But what was it that they had in Millstat that we really liked?
You mean besides the fried shrimp, they also had the baked cod? Are you talking about that?
Maybe. I don't know. I thought they had something else that was unique out there. But we'd love to see you.
God's cod, of course.
Exactly. So that's coming up on this Friday as we close out the tour. And it's kind of hard for me to believe that we're already at the end of the month here. We'll have, as I mentioned, David Stokes coming up a little bit later this afternoon. We're going to talk about some tax policy issues. Cusumano is back from Buffalo. He saw a great game and a great victory for SLU. They faced the number 1 seed Michigan. Can't get it done, but what a season for the Billikens. Mizzou, not surprisingly, unfortunately out in the first round. Illinois is still going. I still think they have the capability of being a Final Four team. The Cardinals' home opener is finally this week. I think they play in Springfield tonight. That's how they close out the spring training schedule. STL City actually won a game. Sue, I'm wearing my City gear today. They won their first game, and we'll talk a little bit about the Blues as well. Joe Nocera is going to be here from the Free Press after 5 o'clock. He recently asked the question about paying college athletes and how that's all happening with NIL. I mean, this whole situation is so different than it used to be. We can just, let's talk about Iowa, who upset Florida. You got this coach that comes from Drake and his star player, Bennett Sturtz. They upset Mizzou in the tournament last year. Ethan was reminding me of this. He goes to Iowa, brings his star with him, not unlike the way that Josh Sturtz is the player, Schertz is the coach, did with with his star with Robbie Avila. So Robbie is at Indiana State, comes here, becomes a star.
Right.
My point is everyone likes to dump on NIL, and I get it because the climate's changed. But those schools would never have an opportunity, for the most part, to have. SLU would never have had this season without the transfer portal. They just wouldn't have. So, I mean, you did have the ability to transfer before this.
Trade-offs.
But, yeah, so that's why I overall support it. I think there's fine-tuning and things along those lines, and actually I think that's what Joe wrote about. We'll have Martin Coco from the Cardinals at 5:30. I'm maybe like you. I don't exactly know where I'm going to watch the game coming up this week because I've been accessing FanDuel on Amazon as sort of an add-on. That's how I get the Blues games. I have to do something, I think, differently for the Cardinals games. But Martin Coco is the director of marketing at the Cardinals, going to join us as we get into the 5 o'clock hour. Plus, of course, an audio cut of the day. And you may have heard in the little promo there, Brian Kilmeade is coming back to St. Louis.
I heard that.
Luckily, he's not coming on the opening night of deer season because that would have been an issue for me. But it's the following weekend. It's like the third weekend in November at the Factory. Brian was at the Factory last year. He loved it. We packed the house. Jimmy Fallon is going to be there in a couple of weeks, of course. But we'll have tickets to give away for Kilmeade all this week on all the shows on 97.1 FM Talk.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
If you're headed into Illinois, eastbound 70 is slowing at 64. That is all due to road work, but things look fine on the Poplar Street Bridge. 44 westbound is slow headed for the Poplar Street Bridge. It's also slow right in front of the Arch Grounds. There was an accident on eastbound 44 east of Jefferson, and southbound 55 has been slowing at Bates. We've got moderate volume on southbound 270 between Olive and Doherty Ferry. 44 westbound slows at 270. Now, if you are westbound on 70, it's not bad. Little bit of moderate volume at Zumbell and at Wentzville. 64 out west. Slow Highway N in the construction zone out through 70. And other than that, we're fine. Southbound 55, of course, slowing at Bates. But to the south of there, it's still okay. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
If you can sense spring in the air, you're not alone. It's a perfect time to get Corel Roofing Company to come over and give you a free roofing inspection. Mark Cox here. You know, my friend Curtis has been at this a long time. Here's what he can do. If your insurance company has denied coverage for your roof, call Curtis. He specializes in working with insurance companies. You can get a second assessment from them, and often they're able to work with that insurance adjuster to find a way to get it covered. They are honest. They're going to give you a true evaluation of what's going on. Curtis is not going to overcommit on your roofing job. A lot of other companies do this. Curtis feels like quality suffers and customer service drops off. It's important to pay attention to details. Quality materials, quality workmanship. It's certainly what I got when Corel Roofing put a brand new roof on my house. Call 314-222-9529 right now. Tell them Mark Cox told you to call, or go to CorelRoofingCo.com.
Insurance companies often have a basic strategy: delay, deny, defend. Some try to grind you down, but they have another tremendous weapon, a software called Colossus. They know which attorneys are great and which are not so great. They know who is likely to take the last offer and who will take them by their scalp, kicking and screaming to trial. They know that they have to pay some firms early and fairly. I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. The insurance companies have done their homework. Before you hire a lawyer for your injury case, do yours. Visit forthepeople.com and see our settlements and verdicts for cases like yours. We became the largest injury firm in the world for a reason. When you hire the wrong firm, you may be beat before you start. All law firms are not the same. Morgan & Morgan, forthepeople.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements. Past results afford no guarantee of future results. Every case is different and must be judged on its own merits.
Do you owe $10,000 or more to the IRS like Mark?
I've been doing home remodeling for 30 plus years, but the economy crashed. I wound up losing my home, losing my job, and on top of that, owing the IRS a ton of money. I owed the IRS $114,000. It really, truly was the worst part of my life.
Then Mark found tax relief advocates.
On news radio, I heard about TRA, and I thought, what's the worst that could happen? So I picked up the phone and I called them. When it was all said and done, TRA settled my $114,000 debt for $100, and I'm telling you, I was ecstatic. Could not believe it. Would recommend TRA to anyone.
If you owe 10 or even hundreds of thousands of dollars to the IRS, don't lose hope. Do what Mark did and call TRA for a consultation.
But TRA did. They gave me a second chance, and I'm forever grateful.
Visit TRA.com or call 800-491-9914. 800-491-9914. That's 800-491-9914.
Jimmy Fallon in the house, and I cannot wait to see you finally, April 11th. Although we're not calling it a redo, because we never did the thing in the first place. You can't have a sequel if you don't have an original. Get your tickets at 971talk.com/events.
He ain't wrong about that. Jimmy Fallon, hopefully on the show later this week. We got Sue's News on a Monday. Coming up.
KFTK FM Florissant.
An Odyssey station.
They're happy to be alive. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News. What some passengers are saying after last night's deadly collision between an Air Canada jet that had just landed and a fire truck at New York's LaGuardia Airport.
The brakes were kind of being hit in a way that was very hard, and then all of a sudden, right when I was starting to think there might be something wrong, it was just a very loud bang.
College senior Jack Cabot was returning from spring break and tells Fox,
We all pretty much just didn't know whether we were going to make it.
The jet's 2 pilots were killed, more than 40 others injured.
The ATC recordings do show the controller giving the truck permission to cross the active runway, but then ordering it to stop. But sadly, it was too late.
Fox's Eric Shawn.
The fire truck was heading to a United jet that had aborted a takeoff. NTSB and Canadian authorities cooperating in the investigation. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy said LaGuardia's tower is well staffed with 37 controllers, but he cannot say exactly how many controllers were on duty in the tower at the time of the crash.
Some of the injured remain hospitalized. One flight attendant reportedly thrown far from the plane, still strapped into her seat, and survived. Hundreds of flights were canceled at LaGuardia. Limited service resuming this afternoon with heavy delays. President Trump extends a deadline to attack Iranian energy sites.
Now Iran has one more opportunity to end its threats to America and our allies, and we hope they take it.
He says Iran is talking with U.S. envoys. Iran denies that, and for now, fighting continues.
Over the last 24 hours, we have certainly seen less Iranian strikes against Israel and Gulf nations than we've seen previously during this war. Now, that might be a sign that Iran is giving some breathing room to negotiations, even as they deny that those negotiations are taking place.
Fox's Jonathan Hunt. America is listening to Fox News.
My name is Whitney Allen, and I'm a widow. My husband, Ryan, died. We never thought we'd ever have to use life insurance, but the unexpected happened. With Ethos, signing up was fast and 100% online. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. No medical exams, and you can get up to $3 million worth of coverage. I'm grateful we were prepared.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/term. That's ethos.com/term.
Paid spokesperson. Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required.
Hear that? That's Mike. He took ZQL Pure Z's, so now he's sleeping soundly on a Sunday night. ZQL Pure Z's are fast-acting melatonin gummies with a complementary botanical blend to help Mike get the sleep he needs to wake up refreshed and ready to conquer Monday.
Let's do this Monday.
ZQL Pure Z's, just for sleep. Really great sleep.
These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Use as directed.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation, weather.
Partly sunny skies as we go through our Monday afternoon. This is the coolest day of the week, 59. Tonight, some clouds going down to 42. Tuesday, sunny, 65 later on in the day on Tuesday after a chilly start. Wednesday, partly sunny, 74. Opening day on Thursday, partly sunny, almost hot. 89, 90 degrees. Should be a record breaker on Thursday afternoon. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
This hour of the Mark Reardon Show is sponsored by Gamma Tree Experts. Your trees deserve the best care. Call Gamma Tree Experts. This is the Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk.
I have some amazing breaking news this afternoon that I'm very thrilled to share. Hollywood has released a movie that doesn't completely suck and that audiences are glomming onto and is really, really good because Alexa and I saw it yesterday, Project Hail Mary. It made $80 million over the weekend. Paul Hall was with us on Friday, gave it a very positive review. We went to Ronnie's yesterday to see it. It was really, really good. Now, I will tell you, the one criticism, I could pick around the edges, certainly, but it's long. It's like 2:39. I think we both agreed. Alexa's a pretty good movie critic. She's got good taste. She always has. Like, if a movie's not very good, she's not afraid to say it. She doesn't love everything, but she even said that's a really, really good movie, maybe a little too long. And I would say that's probably accurate, because they feel Hollywood has to make things 2.5 hours plus. I guess you're getting your money's worth. But it's a very unique story. I don't want to really get into it too much because I didn't know a lot going in. Ryan Gosling plays a teacher who is recruited essentially to save the planet. And there's some interesting things happening in the galaxy that he has some expertise in and could be the hero of the universe, if you will. But the movie is essentially him and nobody else except for someone named Rocky, who is a bit of an alien creature, and that's it. I mean, there's some flashback scenes. The structure of the movie is very unique narratively. I love the way that they told the story because there were flashbacks, but they didn't dumb it down. Hollywood has a bad issue, I think, with dumbing things down, where they always, and somebody even mentioned this, I read a piece this morning in the Hollywood Reporter, that the latest, series finale of Stranger Things, the latest, what do you call it?
Release,
whatever.
Yeah,
the
DVD thing and the Blu-ray.
That they do a little bit of the the refresher courses that they feel like they have to do for the audience, but it ends up coming off as kind of dumbing it down. But this was a wonderful movie that I took my daughter to. She was 11 years old. It's PG-13. It's fine for kids. I'm not even exactly sure why it's PG-13. I mean, not for real little kids. The one thing that she would probably tell you if she was here is a lot of lights, flashing lights. That got a little overwhelming at times. But Ryan Gosling is so good. And if this damn movie is not considered for the Oscars and award season next year, we got big problems because it is extremely well made. It's excellent. Gosling should be nominated for sure for Best Actor. And it's so nice to have something out that's not like the fifth sequel to something that we're sick and tired of. That's a unique and original story, and I really liked it. So I'd highly recommend Project Hail Mary.
I may be not knowing what I'm talking about, but Ryan Gosling seems like a pretty nice guy.
Yeah.
I mean, when I remember how he handled that interview with your Chicago critic who had a car trouble.
And that was for this movie.
Yeah,
Jake Hamilton, who was on the road, and he broke down on vacation, and Gosling was doing his his junket interview via Zoom. I've never interviewed him before on my trips. I stopped those trips in 2019. But this was a good movie. It's kind of like there's a little parallel to Gravity, with Sandy and George Clooney. But really good special effects, and it was just refreshing. I'm so tired. And this pains me to say, as someone who loves movies and who promoted movies as a critic for 30 years, that there's so much garbage that comes out. There's so much social, messaging and all this stuff. People want to go to the movies and have a good time. And for a March, I think this set records for a March release. 80 million opening weekend in the middle of March, that's incredible, right? That's a big opening. And what I will tell you, this is anecdotal, that matches up with those numbers. So Saturday, I mentioned Becky was out of town. So Alexa and I were like, well, let's go Sunday. And I was thinking IMAX. I wanted to see it on the IMAX. So on Saturday afternoon, I start popping around for the IMAX. And there aren't any tickets that I would want to sit in. There's the ones that are too close to the screen. So then I started looking, okay, I'm not going to go IMAX. Let's look at whatever else. it was tough to find seats, which that was encouraging because I'm telling you, I've even done this with pretty big movies last summer, and I didn't have trouble finding seats at all. So I think that this movie will do well in its second week, too, because I think word of mouth is going to be really good. And it's a really, really good movie and extremely well done. So I wanted to mention that. Now, we have J.K. Rowling, who is in the news again, and I just want to mention, because she's so good at her responses to some of this crap that happens in her world, and I love to highlight it. So there's a new, and I think we heard about this a little bit, there's a new TV reboot that is on HBO's Max called Harry Potter. So it's like a series. And John Lithgow is in this. He plays the famed Hogwarts headmaster.
Oh.
And the story that came out today, or over the weekend, I guess it really was, reportedly he thought about quitting the show due to the backlash he received after his casting was announced over J.K. Rowling's anti-trans comments. In an interview with the New York Times, Lithgow said, well, he didn't agree with Rowling's views on transgender issues. What? What's there not to agree with, John? That's what I would ask you. He thought that the Harry Potter books themselves were clearly on the side of the angels against intolerance and bigotry. But the Times noted that having been stung by the sharp online reaction, Lithgow considered quitting the series, but decided not to. That said, Lithgow acknowledged that the subject of Rowling would come up in every interview I will ever do for the rest of my life. So he plays, I guess...
Dumbledore.
Yeah, in this, but he also was in a movie, and I didn't know this. They say that in this movie, Jimpa, he plays the grandfather to a trans teenager played by Aud Mason Hyde, who is trans. So, he had to be careful here on the trans issue. But what I love is J.K. Rowling's responses, and she did a good one here on the X, if I can get it to open up. As another man who once worked with me declares himself saddened by my beliefs on gender and sex, I thought it might be useful to compile a list for handy reference. Which of the following, this is what I would ask John Lithgow, right? And this is what she's asking. Which of the following do you imagine makes actors and directors who aren't involved with the HBO reboot of Harry Potter so miserable? She actually might be responding to somebody else here because she said a man who once worked with me, but she gets attacked by people that were connected with that all the time. So I want to be careful. I don't want to make an assumption that she's referring to Lithgow because I'm not 100% on it. But anyway, she says, it is my belief that women and girls should have their own public changing rooms and bathrooms. That women should retain female-only rape crisis centers. That sounds so radical, doesn't it?
Oh.
That men don't belong in women's sports. That female prisoners shouldn't be incarcerated with violent men and male sex offenders. That's a really important issue. It does not get discussed here in this country. There have been very well-documented cases in the UK of these men who have declared their gender just to go into these women's prisons, and they rape and abuse them. That women should remain in a protected class in law because they have sex-specific needs and issues. That language should reflect reality rather than ideological jargon, especially in medical context. Okay, I'm so glad I just remembered something here. So as awesome as I thought Project Hail Mary was, we got there in time to see trailers, which I kind of like seeing trailers, right? I think we saw 6 trailers yesterday. In 2 of the 6 trailers, and I can't tell you which ones they were, they had they, them, she, her references. I swear to God.
1/4 or 1/3?
2 of the movies
Dang.
that I saw, yes. Now, I can't tell you for sure whether they're going to mock the woke culture. I don't think they will because they showed this guy that was at his desk and it said they, them. I'm like, seriously? That's the clip you have to... I can't wait till my daughter asks me that question. Daddy, what does that mean? Well, Alexa, that means that someone is very mentally ill and they have big problems and they need help in their lives. I think that's my answer. Back to J.K. Rowling. That women shouldn't be harassed, persecuted, or fired for refusing to pretend humans can change sex. Thank you. That women should not be threatened with violence and rape when they assert their rights. That freedom of speech and belief are essential to a pluralistic democratic society. That troubled minors, especially those who are gay, this really hits home here in St. Louis because this is what Jamie Reed was all about. Especially those who are gay, autistic, and trauma experienced, should be given mental health support instead of irreversible surgeries and drug treatments on non-existent evidence of benefit. That is exactly what Jamie Reed wrote about in her whistleblower report 3 years ago. That gay people shouldn't be pressured to include the opposite sex in their dating pools, nor should they be smeared as genital fetishists when they don't. This is another important issue because I've told you this, and it's true. The older gays in particular. So if you are a gay man and you are not attracted to a woman who becomes a man because they say they're a man, you are a transphobic, and vice versa. Reverses itself. So if you are a woman, and there was this lesbian last week that was on her soapbox, blah, 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 on Twitter. I think I even played this bite saying, I've had a lot of girlfriends with penises.
What?
BS. You haven't had one girlfriend with a penis. Not at all. It's a lie. It's ridiculous. And the older gays in particular, one of the things that I've pointed out, and I have a lot of friends who are gay, and some people have different feelings of this. My friends, the people that I grew up with, some of my mentors, two of whom have died, and I was friends with them when I was 15 and 16 years old, and I knew they were gay, and they never did anything inappropriate to me. These are people who did not make victims of themselves when they were victims. This was very typical. I had a boss in Milwaukee who was gay. We all knew he was gay. We didn't care, right? But he couldn't come out because this was in the mid-'90s, right? It was not a comfortable time, even the early 2000s, right? So, but they never played the victim card. They had to deal with all that crap. And these young kids and all this trans nonsense, it's, oh, woe is me, we're the victims. Shut the hell up, And I wish that more people who are gay would point that out, but they're afraid.
Of course.
They're afraid of the people that are in the corner. They cross-dressing heterosexual male fetishes aren't actually oppressed, but having the time of their lives piggybacking off of gender identity ideology. Man, did she hit the nail on the head there. And then finally, that said ideology and the privileged blinkered fools pushing it because they suffer zero consequences themselves have done more damage to the political left's credibility than Trump and Farage could have achieved in a century. Let me have your thoughts. And of course, I was right. She was referring to Chris Columbus in that response, who was the director of the first couple of films. He directed, Home Alone too. But John Lithgow kind of said some of the same things, which I thought was ridiculous. We got Sue's News on a Monday coming up next.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Well, it's not a bad commute right now. Quiet through North County, although northbound 170 has some moderate volume headed for 270. Westbound 70, great out of downtown, little slow at Wentzville. 64, moderate volume. Hampton out through McCausland. Eastbound is slowing at 270. Westbound, some moderate volume at Lake St. Louis Boulevard. And moderate volume is what we have on southbound 270. That's approaching Olive in pockets through Gravois. 55 slows at Bates. We look good on the Poplar. 70 eastbound slowing at 64, though, due to road work on the Illinois side. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
For the last 33 years, you've discovered that at Banner Construction, we pride ourselves on quality craftsmanship. We believe the single most important decision homeowners must make when considering an exterior restoration project is who do you hire. At Banner, we provide well-engineered, meaningful, long-term solutions to transform your home into the pride of the neighborhood. Let us help you fall in love with your home all over again. Call or visit bannerconstruction.com and have a banner day.
Annie Fry here. If you're nearing retirement or already retired, call my friends Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw with the Retirement Advisory Group. They'll show you how linking to the market is much safer than owning the market for your retirement savings. They are the official financial advisors of my show. Go to retirementkey.com.
It's that time of year to refresh those tired, stained, and worn-out carpets for spring. Call Carpet Guy Home Services with deals starting as low as $39.95. Our professional cleaning will bring your carpets back to life. For all your home cleaning services, schedule online at www.callcarpetguy.com.
Do you owe $10,000 or more to the IRS like Mark?
I've been doing home remodeling for 30 plus years, but the economy crashed. I wound up losing my home, losing my job, and on top of that, owing the IRS a ton of money. I owed the IRS $114,000. It really, truly was the worst part of my life.
Then Mark found tax relief advocates.
On news radio, I heard about TRA, and I thought, what's the worst that could happen? So I picked up the phone and I called them. When it was all said and done, TRA settled my $114,000 debt for $100, and I'm telling you, I was ecstatic. Could not believe it. Would recommend TRA to anyone.
If you owe 10 or even hundreds of thousands of dollars to the IRS, don't lose hope. Do what Mark did and call TRA for a consultation.
But TRA did. They gave me a second chance, and I'm forever grateful.
Visit TRA.com or call 800-491-9914. 800-491-9914. That's 800-491-9914.
The NFL offseason is here, but the action never stops. The draft is right around the corner, and Heed the Call NFL podcast with Dan Hanzus and Mark Sessler is your pro football destination. Prospects, team needs, and pick-by-pick coverage of draft weekend.
Heed the Call covers all things NFL, and we have fun. No fake hot takes or boring data dumps here. Just entertaining football talk from your favorite buds at the bar.
So come hang out with the Heed the Call heroes for football news, analysis, and mirth. All the mirth. Follow and listen to the Heed the Call NFL podcast wherever you get your podcasts.
The Mark Reardon Show, 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
I got Kill Me tickets to give away today for his show, which is going to be in November. They just announced it at the factory, so that's going to be a lot of fun. Again, reminder, our final Fish Fry Friday broadcast this weekend, Friday afternoon, Ott's Tavern and Fish Stand in Millstadt, Illinois, all sponsored by Apache Village RV Center. Let's do this afternoon.
These allegations are deeply concerning.
Does the president have any comment?
We're not going to comment.
It's not clear messaging.
No.
And now, Sue's News. Brought to you by Sue.
I've got good news. That is, we have a new bell. Huh? That works even if you hit it twice.
Now, did you have to purchase said bell?
Oh, no. It was I hosted a trivia for somebody on the Illinois side. It was Experimental Aviation Association. It was a fundraiser to help kids get their pilot license.
Okay, so you stole it, essentially.
And they gave this as my thank you
note.
note.
They gave it to you.
As my thank you gift.
That's very nice of them.
Which is nice.
Well, it's certainly something that is used every day, and the other one was failing on us, right?
Yeah, it was. You could hit it once, and then it died.
We don't want that.
No, we don't want that. By the way, happy National Tamale Day. Fred, what are your thoughts on tamales?
I like tamales a lot.
I don't. Mark?
What's wrong with tamales? I like a tamale.
Here's the thing. I'm not like a cornbread person,
Oh.
and they're essentially wrapped in uncooked cornbread, you know?
I like them.
Yeah, a lot of people do. It's just not me. It's also National Melba Toast Day, which I feel like I mentioned earlier was something I looked up. I went down the rabbit hole. Now I've completely forgotten. But it's Melba Toast Day, which is very crunchy. And National Chip and Dip Day. Yes, please. I will take that in all forms.
like that.
Fred, what's your favorite dip?
Guacamole dip.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, I'm total guacamole, like fresh guacamole. When I'm in Mexico, like when we go down to Todos Santos, it's just incredible. We have guacamole every day, tubs of it. It's just so good.
My husband would eat it 3 meals a day.
Here's the problem, though. I mean, maybe someone can guide me. Alexa likes guacamole that you can buy at the store that comes in.
Oh, that's a shame.
I hate it. I hate it all.
You got to cook it.
Yeah.
There's nothing to cook. Just get a bunch of avocados, cut up some red onion, put a little garlic in there, some tomatoes.
It's the ripeness of the avocado that always challenges me, for Fred and Sue.
Well, that's okay.
You
Get
gotta
them
squeeze
early.
it.
Yes, I know. Oh, I know.
Little lime juice. Oh, man. Okay. It's also National Puppy Day.
Aw.
I just put up an old video on Facebook of when just a little baby Oscar and a Lulu who was older.
Can I tell you something I did today? Did I tell you this, Fred, with the puppy who just turned a year old? So back, I mentioned my wife's out of town, so we usually take the puppy to No Leash Needed, which is daycare, because he gets all his energy run out, and then I pick him up at night. This morning I dropped Alexa off at school. I didn't want to deal with the traffic at 141 and 44, so I came home. So I'm not used to having him around in the morning. So I let him outside. It was about 8:45. Completely forgot he was even at my house. But at around 11 o'clock, I look. This is like 2 hours later. He's on the deck just sunning himself. He was fine. He loves being outside in the yard. But I legit, my wife's out of town and my daughter can't hear me. I legit just forgot. I'm like, oh, yeah, he's here, because I'm not used to having him there in the mornings.
I get it. I mean, you really do get into a routine. On this day in history, 114 years ago, in 1912, the Dixie Cup was invented. And then we're in our homes forever afterward, and then somehow it became not a thing. When was that, Fred?
I don't know, but I just still remember
All I
them
know
right
is
in the bathroom. You brush your teeth.
My grandma and grandpa had them for sure.
Oh, my gosh. And they were stacked up, and they'd have different little designs on them. And then, poof,
they were gone.
They were created by a guy who was worried about sharing dippers at railway stations. He thought everybody should have their own cup. And this has music and it's a long intro. 43 years ago today, 43, in 1983, ZZ Top released their Eliminator album. It had legs, Give Me All Your Lovin', and this one.
Yeah, a little Sharp Dressed Man, one of the bigger hits, right? I've never seen them in concerts, ZZ Top. Not even in recent years when they're not really ZZ Top, right?
Yeah, there's a good documentary about them. Have you seen that? I think you would enjoy it.
I bet I would. I love music documentaries.
Yeah, I'll look that up. Somebody can Google it.
Hey,
and
there's a new documentary out there, and I'm not sure where it is, but it's on the Red Hot Chili Peppers, and our friend Tim Summers is featured in that documentary.
Oh, well, we'll watch it for that.
That's right.
On this day in history, 42 years ago, a 1984 Police Academy was released. I didn't pull any sound from that. At 41 years ago, in 1985, Billy Joel and Christy Brinkley were married in New York. They then got divorced in 1994. But if you have not seen the documentary about Billy, it is excellent.
Yeah, it's really good.
Billy Joel and So It Goes on HBO. Have you seen that, Fred?
No, I haven't.
Oh, I think you would like. It's so good.
Do you have Max? Do you have HBO? You should.
Yes.
That's really,
Just get
really
it for
good.
a month, and then I cancel it. That's what I do.
Don't do that.
I do.
I know you do, but
Yeah, well,
don't
Fred,
do that.
You could do that in just 1 month and watch a whole bunch of stuff and then get rid of it. And then
I try to cancel things, and they're still keep going. Like I tried to cancel, like one of the Apple Plus for MLS coverage.
Nothing?
And it's like it's still coming. It's like I thought I canceled it.
Oh.
It is hard. They don't make it easy to
cancel.
cancel stuff.
I have to ask my phone. I say, how do I cancel blah, blah?
Right.
And then it'll take you through the steps. And it's way more than you think.
All right, can I throw something in here?
Yes.
I want to ask Fred if he knows the name Ted Nichols. You know who Ted Nichols is?
Oh, no, not right
Ted
now.
Nichols passed away over the weekend at the age of 97. You might not know his name, but you know his music. He is the guy who composed, conducted, and arranged music for this, the Flintstones. Sounds like it was recorded in my living room yesterday, but it wasn't. And then this one, too. It also sounds like it was recorded in my living room.
That's the original.
Yeah, he worked at Hanna-Barbera from 1963 to 1972. He was the company's musical director, so he did a lot more than just the Flintstones, Scooby-Doo. He did Josie and the Pussycats as well. But 97 years old. He had Alzheimer's. So I thought we'd toss that in
quite
because
a legacy.
there's no doubt that we all know the music. It is quite a legacy, isn't it?
Cool. There was a woman from Texas named Sherry Jones at home on Saturday when something crashed through her ceiling. It ricocheted through a bedroom like a bouncy ball and landed next to a TV. It was a meteor. She said, "We heard a big boom. My grandson went to check, said there was a hole in the ceiling. Then I saw the rocket. I thought, that looks like a meteor." What? I would be like, well, I guess you could think that, but that wouldn't have been my first. Well, maybe it would have been. She said, it sounds crazy, but she was right on the money. NASA has confirmed that there was a meteor visible in the Houston area. It weighed a ton with a diameter of 3 feet. Now, that is not what crashed through her house. If so, the house would have been, destroyed. But it was a meteorite fragment from it. And it exploded, and it was the size of a baseball and went into her house.
See, I'm actually surprised this stuff doesn't happen more often.
I am too.
I wonder if
That's
that's
scary.
considered an act of God for insurance.
Probably. Oh, you know what? It
they'll get out
probably
of it.
is, right?
Yeah.
You know what,
they'll get
Fred?
out of it.
That's an interesting thought.
Yeah,
because where would they have defined a meteorite, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. Oh, sorry, you don't have meteorite coverage.
Yeah.
Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, but no one was hurt in Sherry's house, so
That's good, though.
Yes. Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood is getting a YouTube channel. That show ran for 33 years. 33 years. So if you've got grandkids or you're into that, it's going to run, and I'm not sure when it starts, but it's getting its old channel.
So I loved the Fred Rogers documentary. The
I did
documentary
too.
became a feature
Excellent.
film, and it was excellent. But I got to tell you, I was not a Mr. Rogers kid when I was younger.
Oh, gosh,
No.
I was. They put me down in front of that TV. Nothing?
No, I was Romper Room.
Oh.
I liked Romper Room.
Huh. Okay,
Romper, Stomper. What was it? Romper, Stomper, do.
I never watched.
Do you know that, Fred?
Yeah, I do.
Okay,
I'm
how do we
trying to
not think about that? Well, think
Romper
about it.
Stomper?
Romper, Stomper.
Huh.
There was like a little rhyme or something like that.
Oh, I gotcha. Keith Urban, yacht rock, all the rage still. And Keith Urban says he has a yacht rock album on the way. It would have one original. The rest will be covers. Here it is. He redid Stephen Bishop's On and On.
Oh, yeah. Why does everything today sound like it's recorded in my living room
I'm
or
not
my
sure,
bathroom?
but it does.
Okay. That'll be interesting to see what he does. What are the other song selections? I like that. Tapping into the popularity of the genre, no doubt about it. Watch that documentary. That is really good, too. And I think that's still on Netflix.
I haven't seen that. That really is something I should watch.
Oh, yeah. It is excellent. Michael McDonald's featured heavily. Chris Cross talking about how he wrote, which song. He was on LSD at the time.
Sail Away?
Wow.
Sailing, I think. One of the songs. It's excellent. It's highly recommended.
Wait, he was on LSD when he wrote Sailing?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
One of
that's
those.
so disappointing.
Well, it might have been one of the other ones, but it was, yeah. Well, what do you mean? He was living his alternative universe and wrote a song, Sue.
All right.
What can be wrong with that?
No,
Roger Sterling took a lot of acid in Mad Men, too, and it helped him.
What
I just
happened
want
to
tell
that
you.
guy, Christopher Cross?
Oh, he's still around. He's
Is
featured.
he?
Oh, yeah. He's still
right.
touring. He was either at the factory recently or he's
you're
going to be
right.
at the factory. He's had, look, that movie was kind of timed with his resurgence a little bit. I don't think it was the movie that did it, but yeah, he's doing well.
All right. And today's random fact is from on the date of April 18th, 1930. It was such a slow news day that the BBC declared there was no news and just played piano music instead of reporting anything. I've never heard of anything like that.
We could use more of those days.
I'm Dan Loney with Your Money Now. A bill will be introduced in the Senate that would prevent sports betting by prediction markets. A report in the Wall Street Journal says that any entity regulated by the Commodities Future Trading Commission should be prevented from listing contracts on sporting events. A spokesperson for one of the platforms, Kalshi, says this push by senators is being influenced by the casino industry. Some positive comments about a possible deal with Iran sent stocks higher today. The Dow Industrials rose 631 points, ending the session at 46,208. The Nasdaq added 299 points, and the S&P 500 gained 74. All three indexes were up by at least 1%. And an unnamed U.S. automaker is going to integrate Mobileye's driver monitoring system into its vehicles starting in 2027. Shares of the autonomous driving technology were up better than 2% today. That's Your Money Now.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along. Which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
ZipRecruiter. We're going to talk about tax policy that could certainly affect you with David Stokes from the Show Me Institute. Frank Cusumano is back from Buffalo, and he'll report on the aftermath of the Billikens not quite making it to the Sweet 16, but a legendary season. So he's coming up here a little bit later this hour. Let's talk about Morelli tuck pointing. If you need tuck pointing work done here in St. Louis, you want to turn to the best, and they are the best. They've been doing this for decade upon decade. John and Cindy are great. Their daughter, Deanna's husband, is a family-run business, and they're going to really, really exceed your expectations. And I know that because if you go online to MorelliTuckPointing.com, the reviews are very consistent in that way. Now, they may not promise you a certain date and, get that job done 2 weeks early, but they're going to take a very, good, close look at the project, give you an excellent recommendation and estimate. It's going to be fair, and they're going to do the work in top quality manner with great, great customer service. I know that because this is what they're known for here in St. Louis. They're the masonry specialists. Maybe you have a chimney that's falling apart. Whatever you need, tuck pointing, spot pointing with color match, chimney repair, they do it all. They're the masonry specialists, and you can find them easily. 314-645-1387. The website,
tuckpointing.com.
Hey, it's Annie, and I'm with my friend Stewie of Bagel Loan fame. Right now, Stewie, people are looking for access to cash, and there are a few ways that you can tap into your home, the equity, to try to get access to that cash. But I want you to tell folks why they need to think about the Bagel Loan.
Well, Annie, I have a great story. We had a customer that went ahead and was driving to a bank to get a home equity line of credit, and this is a bad financial vehicle. The reason it's bad, it's an adjustable rate mortgage. You have a certain term of time that you can take the money out, and then after that, bam, you get hit with a higher rate. These rates can go up and down like a yo-yo. You pay interest only, and before you know it, you started with a certain balance, and guess what? You got the same balance 5 years later. Be smart, refinance the house, take the cash out you need to consolidate the debt, do your home improvements, maybe go on vacation, do what you got to do, but do it with a 30-year or 20-year fixed rate. You'll be way ahead of the game.
And with the Bagel Loan, you pay no dollars in closing costs. 314-324-4440. That's 314-324-4440. Google the Bagel Loan. NMLS number 226715.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
4:33. This portion of the show is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating, Air Conditioning, Electrical, and Plumbing.
Consistently right.
It's a ritual.
97.1 FM Talk. St. Louis Conservative.
Tomorrow's an election day, and I've said this many times, and maybe I'm going to create problems for myself because I wasn't planning to vote tomorrow because I don't think I know enough about the issues. But sometimes, Sue, as I've said, sometimes these smaller elections, the municipal elections, they have much more of an effect on your life than, some of the bigger elections. And unfortunately, you don't pay attention to them as much. I bring it up because David Stokes, who is the Director of Municipal Property at the Show Me Institute, is with us. And I know, David, amongst other things, how are you, first of all? Doing okay this afternoon?
Doing great, Mark. Great to be on the air with you, my friend.
I want to talk about the income tax and the earnings tax, but you guys did a little bit of a ballot breakdown at the website. I mean, what would you, without going down everything, but a lot of local municipalities have little referendums on this ballot tomorrow, right?
Well, it's not tomorrow. It's April.
Oh, April 7th. I know. Sorry, I'm way ahead of myself. Yes, and I knew that but my brain is not functioning.
You just want to vote so badly. You just
No.
want to get out there and vote.
I knew that it was April 7th, but again, I'll blame Monday for that. All right, so in a couple of weeks.
Well, there's a ton on the ballot. There really are. The city of St. Louis is voting on whether to retain their earnings tax. Again, they do that every 5 years. It usually passes by wide margins. That is retaining it, unfortunately. You've got St. Charles, Franklin, and Jefferson counties all voting on very strict limits on property tax increases in those counties, which a lot of your listeners might be surprised. I'm opposed to that. I think it goes way too far. And then you've got fire district and ambulance district sales tax increases all around the Missouri part of your listening audience due to a legal change last year that granted additional authority in fire districts and ambulance districts to raise sales taxes. So you've got voters throughout the region voting on new sales taxes for those. If they all pass, for example, in St. Charles County, there's ambulance district and fire district taxes of 1% each. And if the voters approve them all, the average sales tax in St. Charles will go from 8% to 10% right away. These are really big increases.
All right, so let's segue into the discussion about the income tax in particular, but I do want to talk about the earnings tax here in the city as well. But let's go to Governor Kehoe's goal here, and the Republican supermajority's goal is to phase out the Missouri income tax. There is a lot of support for that. I want to know your position on that, and do you think realistically that's something that's got to get sent to the ballot? I think it's safe to say that if it gets sent to the ballot, people are going to say yes, don't tax me, right? So it'll pass. But thoughts on that process right now, David?
Well, I'm excited about it, and I'll tell you that right now I'm more optimistic that it will pass and be put to the ballot than I was at the start of the session. I think it's a good bill that's going forward. It's made it through the House of Representatives. They've got a hearing on it probably next week. I understand now. It's sort of the scheduling is always up to the last second. But my colleague Elias Sapellis has been writing a lot of great stuff about this proposal to phase out Missouri's income tax while expanding the sales tax base, not necessarily raising the sales tax, but to make a lot more things subject to the sales tax. And that's why it has to go to the ballot, because doing so is hard to do now because of various constitutional things put in there. So you got to make it able for things that aren't currently subject to the sales tax, subject to it. But I think I think very strongly, and I think there's plenty of economic evidence that shows that this state will come out ahead with that trade, and we will grow this economy for everybody if we can phase out this income tax.
Isn't I support it? Don't get me wrong here, but is it going to be a little tricky when it comes to, because there's going to be some carve-outs and stuff like that. And one of the things that I've brought up, and I was told that Governor Kehoe is going to have this as an exception, is if you buy a car and the sales tax goes up, for example, I understand that you're saying applying the sales tax to more services, like someone who cuts your hair, a mechanic or something like that. But you just pointed out that you have local municipalities that are already raising the sales taxes. We have special business district taxes in different, communities as well. So you're still talking about a pretty high sales tax for a lot of people in Missouri.
And that's where it gets very tricky, as you said. Now, according to the plan, this expanded sales tax base at the state level will fund phasing out the income tax. But they do, in the bill that the House passed, they have limits. They have rules in there that as the base is expanded for cities and counties and special taxing districts and the like, that they're going to have to roll their rates back, either the sales tax or other taxes, so that it's not just a windfall. That's absolutely what you don't want, is that some city or county, because the base is now expanded substantially and they just get a ton more money, but they didn't give you anything for it. So they're going to have to roll other taxes back to offset that. And that's very important. And absolutely, Mark, that's going to be really tricky how that gets done in the final show.
But handicapping that, I would agree with you. It's got a much better chance of that landing in front of the voters than not at this point. It's looking relatively good. Now, when it comes to the earnings tax, you mentioned that is on the ballot on April 7th. It's going to probably pass because that's the folks who will go in, to the ballot, not people who oppose that. But we've been talking about, I had Jeff Rainford on earlier this afternoon, former chief of staff for Mayor Slay. He's a roundtable veteran here on the show. I remember, I'm sure you remember this, talking about the Slay administration was talking about phasing out the earnings tax. Nobody else wanted to talk about it. And they realistically thought that there was a route for that or a plan for that. Well, that never happened, obviously, and then you have mayors that came in that didn't give a rip about it. So now we're at a point where, look, we have got to revitalize the city of St. Louis. I went over this column that was in the Manhattan Institute's website over the weekend. This guy who wrote it, Jordan Duker, I'm going to have him on the show tomorrow night. But these are big issues, and this earnings tax issue is so important for the city of St. Louis, but it doesn't seem, I don't see that path. I really don't see that path to get that done.
I don't being realistic with you, I don't see a path to do it honestly as well. I mean, the voters of the city, you're giving them a chance to tax other people for their stuff. So, of course, they're going to say yes. I mean, most people are going to say yes. And we had an op-ed on it in the Post-Dispatch a couple weeks ago, and Jordan Duker linked to it in his piece in City Journal that you talked about.
Yeah.
He had a reference to it in there. And I just, as hard as it's going to be electorally, as much as I understand the average voter saying, why would I want to pay higher property or sales taxes? I'd rather just tax those commuters some of their income. It's a terrible tax for the city of St. Louis. It drives people and businesses out of the city. And as I talk in the op-ed, it's time for the state legislature to really think big. And 20 years ago, Professor Joe Haslick of the Show Me Institute proposed a land tax for the city of St. Louis, which is simply nothing more than a property tax on the value of the land in exchange for phasing out the earnings tax. And as strange and radical as they may seem, it's even a better time to do that now. The city of St. Louis has gotten worse over the past 20 years, not better. Population continues to decline. Assessed valuation of downtown buildings is plummeting. There was a big article in the Business Journal on that last month.
Look, I want to point something out that you mentioned in your writings. This is a great example. So the AT&T building, and I just did a little bit of coverage of that on the air because David Amalotti from Channel 4 went over there and took a tour with the guy who's developing that. But that's the largest office building downtown, just a few blocks away from where we are right now, 909 Chestnut. They paid $5.5 million in property taxes in 2009. Last year, $200,000. That's
it's shocking.
Yes.
It's shocking. And right, it's hard. So as I say in the op-ed, how's the city going to phase out the earnings tax and rely more on property taxes, which they should. This is why they should have done this 20 years ago, by the way, but as opposed to now, when the property values just continue to decline. So Pittsburgh back in the 80s, and Detroit is trying to do it now. you can move to taxing land, which nobody can move, nobody can change. And then if you develop that land, especially look at buildings that may be destroyed by a tornado, like our offices were last year. If you develop that land, you don't get hit with higher property taxes on it because it's the land that's taxed, not the building. And that really did help revitalize Pittsburgh. And they're trying to do the same thing in Detroit, and Detroit's been moving in the right direction too the past few years. So as arcane as it may seem, I think it's a good idea.
I would just like to see a little bit more effort on that and discussion about that, because it always gets tossed in with the discussion about getting rid of the income tax. But I get frustrated because, look, you and I have been talking about this for a long time. Obviously, Rex Singfield, this is one of his goals to get rid of the earnings tax. It's a ridiculous tax, but the city is dependent upon it because of what's happening with population, et cetera. David, I always guide people into the website, showmeinstitute.org, if you want to find out a little bit more. I know you guys have a great election wrap-up on there. Again, April 7th, not tomorrow. Whew, glad you guys corrected me on that. Always great to have you on, David Stokes. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mark.
All right, take care.
Talking with you, sir.
We got Cusumano coming up next.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Well, on the roads, we have definitely picked up volume and some issues out there. Now, there was a stall eastbound 70 at Lucas and Hunt. Looks like they may have gotten that one out of the way. But there's an accident northbound 270 past 6440. Now, this had been blocking traffic lanes, but that one is off to the shoulder, but the damage is done. Look for a slow go back through Manchester. Southbound has slow pockets from Olive down through Doherty Ferry. We've got southbound 55 slowing south of Arsenal down through the Bates area. 40 is lined up, Kings Highway out through McCausland. Little bit of volume there at 270. And then, I was going to say Lake St. Louis Boulevard, but let's call it Highway N now, out through the 70 split. Southbound 170, slow at the Forest Park Parkway. 55 slowing at Bates. And if you're headed into Illinois, there's a little bit of volume on 40, headed for the bridge, the Poplar Street Bridge, but it's fine on the bridge itself. 70, though, eastbound, slows at 64. This report is brought to you by Overhead Door Company of St. Louis. And you know that these Midwest winters are bad for your garage door. Overhead Door Company of St. Louis can come out and perform their 26-point tune-up. And this is your garage door and opener that they take care of. One price for up to 3. Schedule online, overheaddoorstlewis.com. I'm Sue Thomas. That's Traffic 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Just a brief Christopher Cross update because we were talking about him earlier. He was here in town. Our friend Paul Ross, who's been a guest on the show, he was here at the factory a couple of weeks ago.
What?
So he was just here. And then the song that he wrote that is, he shares this story in the documentary Yacht Rock, Ride Like the Wind, was the one that he wrote while under the influence of LSD. So there you go. We haven't forgotten about you, Illinois. Come and see us at Ott's Tavern and the Millstone Fish Stand this Friday. It's our final Fish Fry Friday for Lent on the Mark Reardon Show and 97.1 FM Talk. It's all sponsored by Apache Village RV.
When you're approaching retirement, there are a lot of questions to answer. Do you have enough money to fund your income for life? How should you claim Social Security? And what's your plan for health care and long-term care? Hi, I'm Eric Robert, Director of Investments with the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel and host of On the Money Saturday mornings at 11 on 97.1 FM Talk. Don't leave your retirement to chance. It's crucial to understand and address relevant risks before you retire. Our team can help you get organized, guide you through critical retirement decisions, and create an investment portfolio designed around your needs. To schedule your free retirement plan consultation, go to clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com. Or call us at 636-695-2650. That's clearpathinvesting.com or 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
If you live in Missouri, have Medicaid, and need a caregiver, this message is important. Care at home is personal. That's why you may not want a stranger in your home to take care of you. You want someone who already knows you and your daily routines. With Freedom Care, you choose a trusted family member, a friend, or a neighbor. They will get paid after every shift to care for you, and it's 100% free to you. More than 70,000 people have already joined the Freedom Care family. Call your local Freedom Care. They'll check your Medicaid eligibility. Don't wait until a stranger shows up at your door. If you have Medicaid and need help at home, this care is available 100% free to you. Call Freedom Care now to see if you qualify. 314-343-1362. 314-343-1362. That's 314-343-1362.
Freedom Care, we're here for you.
Don't let tax refund worries hold you back. File now with TurboTax on Intuit Credit Karma. They'll find every credit and deduction to help you get every refund dollar you deserve, or your money back. Start filing today in the Credit Karma app.
Mark Reardon is St. Louis conservative.
All right, right to Frank Cusumano. So much to talk about. He's back from Buffalo, New York. It didn't turn out exactly how we had hoped, but man, what a magical season for the Billikens. Frank, how are you this afternoon?
Very good. Yeah, I think, Mark, if you tell SLU fans before the season, they're going to set the all-time record for most wins. They're going to pound an SEC team in the first round of the NCAA tournament. They're going to extend their coach's contract. I think everybody said, yeah, I'll take it. We'll do it. Yeah.
I know you talked about it Friday. I had hoped for a little bit of a better, competition with Michigan, but damn, they're pretty good, right? They got a couple of guys that start that are probably going to the NBA, so they were up against it, especially being in that 8-9 game. But it was certainly fun while it lasted.
It was, and when Rob, it was Trey Green. When he hit the three, it put him down 4 with 15 minutes to go. But after that, Michigan proved to be the team we thought they were. And, Mark, I don't advocate gambling on this program, but if I had to place a milkshake bet on one team winning a national title right now, no doubt in my mind it would be the Michigan Wolverines.
Wow. Okay.
There's been obviously a lot of change for SLU over the last couple of years, but Frank, you've covered this team inside and out. What can you say about Robbie Avila and the impact, looking back on what he will have on this program and what he's meant to it these last 2 years?
Well, there's not many people who can say they turned around 2 different programs. He did it at Indiana State, and he did it at St. Louis. And he's going to be remembered like Highmark and Claggett and McCauley and Larry Hughes. When you hear his name, there'll always be a special spot for him for all Billiken fans, for a long, long time. And let me tell you something. On Saturday, when they took him out of the game for the final time and Josh Schertz gave him that hug.
Yeah.
If you were a member of the human race, you had to be moved.
It was awesome.
These are 2 guys that aren't just coach-player. They are lifelong friends. And Coach said afterwards, it's never going to be the same because I'm never going to coach him again, but we'll always be tight.
Well, so what kind of shape are they left into next season with remaining players? And then obviously you got to go to the portal.
Yeah, well, the key word for them is retention. They have 6 of their top 9 that have eligibility left. Now, a lot of those guys' value has skyrocketed, and some may test the open market, but some may love what they had here, that magical chemistry, and working for a lovable coach. I imagine they can't keep all 6, but if they kept 5, they love a couple of freshmen. They kill the portal like they did last year. This is about sustainability, and I think with Josh Schertz, they could have it.
Frank, Enterprise Center was packed all weekend long, or at least on Friday and Sunday with the first and second round games here. Unfortunately for the Mizzou Tigers, it just was not meant to be, and they disappointed, I would say, against Miami. Would you agree?
Yeah, it was brutal. That was a home game. Miami's not a great team. You got to win that game. And I really think that they did not lose that game on Friday night. They lost it in April when Coach Gates missed on a lot of portal guys. Schertz went like 5 or 6 for 6, and, he brought in a couple, but not enough. But I will say this. With this recruiting class coming in, 2 5-stars, never happened in history. There's a player at Principia named Quentin Coleman who scored 50 points in the state title game. He's close to a 5-star. Well, Dennis Gates was at Principia High School today. They may get him. There's a couple of players at Providence.
That'd be huge.
Oh. Yeah, and there's a couple of players at Providence that Tim Fuller, who was up there, and now that coaching staff has changed hands. They have some talent. They may steal a player from Providence, too, from the portal. So I think Coach Gates knows he made some mistakes. I don't think he's going to make the same kind of mistakes this offseason.
Well, and I hope you're right, and I like him a lot. And I liked what's happened with the program. The concern that I would have is that the same scenario existed these last 2 years. There was a complete collapse at the end of the season heading into the tournament. I mean, there's no way that you could convince me that they were going to compete this weekend because they had lost 3 games going into the NCAA tournament. That's never a recipe for success. success. Let's shift to baseball because I believe we have opening day just a few days away. We might have even have a record high temperature for Thursday and opening day, Frank. It's certainly not going to be chilly.
No, they're expecting 90 degrees. I just read FanDuel. They predict the Cardinals to finish dead last and with 69 victories. I don't think that's going to be the case. I think the starting pitching in the spring is a harbinger of what we will see in the summer. Yesterday, McGreevy was great. Livator has been very good. Dustin May has magnificent stuff. If Kyle Leahy can make that transition, and if Palante did, in fact, add an extra pitch, I like the bullpen. And even yesterday, Jordan Walker hit a home run. He's the key. He and Nolan Gorman and Victor Scott, guys that haven't hit much this spring and haven't hit consistently their careers, if they can figure it out, then maybe they won't be a last-place team.
Cardinals haven't officially announced their 26-man roster, but they did just post on their social medias. J.J. Weatherholt's number will be 26, so it's looking like he is officially making the opening day roster. The notable piece that is not is Nelson Velasquez. Frank, are you surprised by that?
So that is official that he is not on the 25 or 26-man roster to begin the season? That's official?
The Cardinals haven't announced that, but different media members are releasing that. Chaim Bloom and Ali discussed it before their game tonight, that he will be heading to Memphis to start the season, and that Fermin made it.
I tell you what, it's kind of shocking because what this means is spring training means squat. I mean, it means nothing because he was your best offensive player by far the entire spring. Now, I know his hitting resume is not awesome, but, you know, it's not like Matt Holliday's in left field to replace him. I am stunned that he's not on the roster.
That's amazing.
Me too.
Okay, maybe
I am shocked as well.
Things will turn around on that front. Well, look, did you have fun in Buffalo, even though it didn't turn out exactly the way you had hoped? Did they treat you well?
Yeah. They did, and the fact that there's a lot of Italians up there, so we went to a great restaurant fittingly named Frankie Primo's, had some great veal parmesan, so the food was good up in Buffalo.
Ethan was here covering the games at Enterprise. He said that look great on television. I can't believe it's been 10 years since we've had those games, but unfortunately, even with the Mizzou loss, it was still a successful weekend over there with some good games.
Can I add this real quick?
Yeah.
A special thanks to the Missouri Valley Conference and the Sports Commission.
Yes.
17,000 in the day session, 17,000 in the night session, and 16,000 yesterday. It went flawlessly. Jack Watkins, Mike Kern, Jeff Jackson, Mark Schreiber from the Sports Commission, they all just do an unbelievable job.
Man, I've known Jack Watkins since like 1986. He was there at Mizzou. I think his father-in-law ran Channel 8, if I'm not mistaken, when I was a student there. Yeah.
He better not retire.
He's a legend here. He's a legend. Hey, Frank, thanks a lot. We'll talk on Friday.
Okay, guys, take care.
We'll come back after the top of the hour, and we're going to talk a little bit about the Cardinals broadcast opportunities for you as a fan. I'm going to raise my hand for me as a fan because I don't know where I'm going to watch the games. Martin Coco, Senior Director of Marketing, coming up at 5:30. Joe Nocera from the Free Press, though, talking about some of the NIL issues. He's got some politics to discuss as well right after 5. It's all coming up.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Southbound 55, we've got an accident reported south of Loughborough, and that's created a slow-moving traffic. We already had a jam headed down toward Bates. If you are westbound on 64, it's lined up. It's Kings Highway out through McCausland. A little slow at 270 and a little bit at Boone's Crossing. Most of it is headed for an accident right there at the 64 split. Look for a jam back near Lake St. Louis Boulevard. 70 looks good out of downtown. That's your best bet. Moderate volume, though, at K. And if you're headed into Illinois, the Poplar looks fine. Watch for road work coming off the Stan Musial Veterans Memorial Bridge. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Well, it's St. Louis spring weather. We go up and down, but what we do know is we're always going to get storms in the forecast. Storms can bring down power lines. Power lines can mean you don't have power at your house. Let's do something about that. Let's get you a free estimate on a Generac home standby generator from Generator Supercenter here in St. Louis. They're the nation's #1 Generac generator dealer. I've often mentioned, I know that brand name from when I lived in Wisconsin because they're located right outside of Milwaukee. They have a store out on the Airport Road in Chesterfield. These are not portable generators, very high quality. As soon as your power power goes out, if the power grid fails, if there's ice on power lines, if power lines come down, whatever the reason is, your power is going to be kicked right in from the generator. You can be energy independent. Who doesn't want that? Especially, we talk about this grid a lot. We've had more issues of that, I think, in the South, but it's certainly going to affect folks in Missouri. This aging infrastructure is not going to last forever. So if you would like a free estimate, super easy to do, 314-499-2020. You can swing by the store in Chesterfield or the website, Generator Supercenter of St. Louis.com. Get with them. At least get that estimate. Financing and low payments are available. Generator Supercenter of St. Louis.
What's your favorite four-letter word? Chances are you've said it more than a few times dealing with this crazy world we live in. But at Compass Retirement Solutions, our four-letter word of choice is hope. Hope for a better tomorrow. And hope that your retirement plans don't take a back seat. You've watched inflation soar, and maybe your retirement future feels a little uncertain right now. But all hope is not lost. Find out exactly how much risk you're still taking with your investments. Find out how you may be able to save big on taxes. And find out how having a written retirement plan just might give you the hope you've been looking for. Call today to set up a meeting. 314-373-1598. That's 314-373-1598. Compass Retirement Solutions. 314-373-1598. Firm offers insurance services but does not provide tax advice. Investments and services offered through Compass Retirement Group, a registered investment advisory firm in Missouri and Illinois. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal.
This is attorney Todd Nissenholtz of Kaufman Townsend. Many of our clients are victims of negligent drivers. They put their trust in us, and we help them recover physically and financially. Their words carry more weight than ours.
They guided me through every step of the legal process with clarity and expertise, ensuring that I always felt informed and supported.
Injured? Call Kaufman Townsley. It costs you nothing to call, but may cost you everything if you don't. Call 314-777-7777.
Imagine this, a summer evening, relaxing under a beautiful porch overhang, hosting your friends on a composite deck, or enjoying a bug-free breeze in a screened room. That sounds dreamy, right? Hi, it's Kim, and that dream can be your reality with Lakeside Renovation and Design because they specialize in creating outdoor spaces that make your backyard the go-to spot for family and friends. And with their attention to detail and the high-quality materials they use, you'll have a space that lasts for years. Visit lakesideRD.com today to get started on your outdoor oasis.
There are those who dedicate themselves to a sense of honor, to a life of courage, and a commitment to something greater than themselves. They have always defended this nation and each other. They still do. The few, the proud, the Marines.
KFTK FM Florissant from the Kaufman Townsley St. Louis's Injury Lawyers Studio. Call 314-777-7777.
That's 314-777-7777.
The investigation underway. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. After an Air Canada jet collided with a fire truck at New York's LaGuardia Airport, severing the cockpit, killing the pilots, and flinging a flight attendant still trapped to her seat far away from the wreckage. She has multiple fractures but survived. Dozens of passengers hurt as New York City and state leaders joined Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy to give an update on the crash.
New York Governor Kathy Hochul said it's been decades since the last deadly accident at LaGuardia, and the lives of the pilots lost is immeasurable.
This is what pains everyone here in the state of New York. I've conveyed our condolences to the Canadian government.
Secretary Duffy said as the NTSB investigates, LaGuardia is well staffed with air controllers. There are 37 normally, but like other airports, there are at times shortages.
We have 33 controllers employed, certified at LaGuardia. And we have seven that are in training.
Duffy said he was not saying that deficit led to this accident.
Fox's Gernal Scott in New York. The runway where the crash happened will remain closed until at least Friday. After Special Envoy Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner met with Iranian officials over the weekend, President Trump suggesting the strikes against Tehran could end.
They want peace. They've agreed they will not have a nuclear weapon.
The president with the comments in Memphis this afternoon, but he says any deal would require the U.S. to take control control of Iran's enriched uranium to keep the regime from developing a nuclear weapon. Wall Street markets rose after President Trump said he spoke with Iran about the possible end to the strikes. The Dow gained 631, the Nasdaq up 299, the S&P up 74. A civil jury in California has found Bill Cosby liable for drugging and sexually assaulting a woman in 1972, awarding her $19.25 million. His attorney says they will appeal. America's listening to Fox News.
I'm Boomer Esiason. My mom died from cancer. She was only 37 years old. She didn't have life insurance, and that was devastating for my family. That's why having life insurance is so important to me. Ethos makes it fast and easy. Get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. You can get up to $3 million in coverage with no medical exam.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/save. That's ethos.com/save. Paid spokesperson. Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required.
Hear that? That's Mike. He took ZQL Pure Z's, so now he's sleeping soundly on a Sunday night. ZQL Pure Z's are fast-acting melatonin gummies with a complementary botanical blend to help Mike get the sleep he needs to wake up refreshed and ready to conquer Monday.
Let's do this Monday.
ZQL Pure Z's, just for sleep. Really great sleep. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Use as directed.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation, weather.
Temperatures on the cool side as we roll into the evening. 38 will do it for the overnight low. There's some clouds around, but it's kind of chilly. Tuesday, partly to mostly sunny skies. Chilly start, a little bit warmer in the afternoon. 65 for the high, 47 Tuesday night. Wednesday, sunny, 78 degrees. Thursday for opening day, about sunny and 92 degrees. What a wild ride. This will be 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist, Dave Murray.
This hour of the Mark Reardon Show is sponsored by Gamma Tree Experts. Your trees deserve the best care. Call Gamma Tree Experts. This is the Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk.
You know, piggybacking off our conversation at the end of the hour there with Cusumano, right at the same time, my text string with Joe Arnold and Scott Jennings heated up. Jennings was at spring training over the weekend, and I'm hoping that we get him on the air on Wednesday to talk some politics in baseball. But they were also a little shocked that Velasquez did not make the roster. Jennings' response is that Walker will hit 125 for a month, and then they'll go get Velasquez. That probably might happen, actually, because I don't know. Man, I'd love to get Jordan Walker back on track, but it just doesn't seem something that's going to happen. But a lot of, passionate opinions about the roster, which we're always going to have. I think it's nuts. I told Fred we got to get Dave Murray on here either tomorrow or Wednesday because I cannot believe it's going to be around 90 or maybe 92. Sue, I was just talking with you off the air. When I was on KMOX from 2008 until 2020, I hosted the opening day coverage with Tom Ackerman, and we had guests come over. And I can't tell you, Fred could probably vouch for this, the amount of times that weather was nice compared to freezing cold or rainy or something like that was very minimal. And we had some nice days out there, but we had weather that was just, and we were lucky because we were in the tent and we had some heaters and stuff like that. But opening day could be brutal weather-wise.
I remember a rain problem with the Clydesdales and having to use they went to the bathroom right there. It was pretty fun.
In more recent times, or was that a while ago?
Oh, no.
Yeah. So will you even go over on Thursday for some of it?
No,
You're so
I'm
show
here.
loyal to me, Fred. I know, but you kind of have your position still on KMOX, so.
Yeah, no.
I told Sue
I'm
I went
here.
by the first year after I was traded. I'll call it the trade, right? And I didn't think I felt wanted. So I think I'll probably just come right in here. The only thing I miss is not having to do my show that day because I would get off for opening day. I think we got Joe Nocera on the line right now. He wrote a couple of great columns at the Free Press that I wanted to talk to him about this evening. He is a senior editor and writer at the FP. Joe, how are you? Welcome back to 97.1 FM Talk.
I'm great. How are you guys?
We are doing great.
How are you?
Excellent. Really nice weather here. We got baseball starting. Things couldn't be better. I definitely want to talk to you about your column on NIL. But a couple of weeks ago, you wrote this piece, and I highlighted a little bit from the show about science and how science has a major fraud problem. And I've talked about issues like this, Joe, on my show for several years. I kind of have a little bit of a thing for the so-called experts because, as you know, and as people find out on a regular basis, gosh, the experts are wrong a lot, aren't they, Joe Nocera?
Yeah, they sure are. I mean, I think that's something we've all discovered pre-COVID, during COVID, post-COVID.
Yeah, well, in that piece that you wrote, you talked about things, where you have scientific trials and things like that, where evidence gets put out there in journals and people take it for, science is settled or whatever. And then we find out, sometimes not too long after that these things were manipulated in ways that aren't accurate or the research isn't valid or verified. And this is the world of science where everything's supposed to be buttoned up.
Science is not buttoned up at all. I mean, that's just the bottom line. Science, the world of science has changed so much in the last 25 years. There's so much more pressure to publish, and there's so much more pressure to publish more stuff. And the journals only want, articles that show experiments that are highly successful. Your career depends on that. And so the incentives to cheat or to shade the truth a little are overwhelming.
Yeah, so you highlighted
that's
this.
That's why you get retractions and so on.
So you highlighted a story that had to do with Alzheimer's research, right? And there was a 2009 position paper, if you will, that was published. And, this ends up getting, and this is what I was kind of referring to, that then ends up being cited over the next decade 816 times by other researchers. But then eventually they find out that all of that research that came out that was groundbreaking, that was so important, that was cited by all these other journals was not real. I mean, it just was falsified data.
Right. So that happens a lot, and that has happened quite often in Alzheimer's research especially. There have been 2 or 3 hugely important papers that turned out to be faked or fraudulent or, just innocent mistakes, but big mistakes. Alzheimer's has been, it's the disease everybody wants to try and cure.
Yeah.
And so much pressure, there's so much pressure. Some scientists have, it's wishful thinking. They want a result. They try to get that result. And somebody in my story said, you do an experiment 15 times, 12 times it comes out wrong, 3 times it comes out right. So you think to yourself, well, those 3 times are the ones. They're the ones that really matter. And you write the paper around the 3 results. And the truth is, it's the 12 results that are wrong. And nobody can replicate it. And, it takes years and years and years to unravel this. Meanwhile, all these other scientists are wasting tons of money trying to replicate your research.
And by the way,
build on it.
Yeah, when you say wasting tons of money, a lot of times that's our money, right? That's taxpayer money.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Most of it's taxpayer money. The taxpayers fund most Alzheimer's research, most cancer research, a lot of kinds of research.
So I thought this was interesting. I was unfamiliar with this, and I got to check these guys out. You mentioned that there were 2 science journalists, Adam Marcus and Ivan Oransky, who started something called Retraction Watch. And this is a newsletter that chronicles some of this fraud. And they noted, because their database now has 63,000 retractions, and they said that the number only includes the fraud and the mistakes that have been caught because they don't know what hasn't been caught. But that's quite a few retractions over the course of a decade, isn't it?
It's a lot of. That's right. There are a lot of retractions now. It's a different world. The major journals, Nature, Science, Lancet, etc., they have full-time people who run papers through AI and other things to try and catch fraud before they publish.
Yeah.
That's how bad it is.
It's unbelievable. It really is. Joe Nocera is here from the Free Press. Okay. On the issue of paying college athletes, I like this because I think we're kind of on the same page, and there's a lot of people that are ripping NIL, and I understand it's flawed and it's a bit of the Wild West out there, but your position in a more recent piece at the Free Press was paying college athletes has created a mess. I think we can agree on that. It was still the right thing to do. Explain your position on this, Joe.
Well, for 100 years, the NCAA has not allowed athletes to be paid on the grounds that amateurism, quote unquote, is what made college sports special. Well, and that if you started paying the players, the fans would go away. It would just be another pro sport. Nobody would care anymore. Well, we've all know now that that's not true. Look at March Madness.
Absolutely.
The problem is not NIL. The problem is the combination of NIL and the transfer portal. So what you've got is now a situation of you've got a kind of legalized bribery going on, where a player at a smaller school who's a standout can very easily put himself in the transfer portal and come out with a whole lot of money going to a new school. Listen, these players have a lot of economic value. They deserve to make money if there's money to be made. Why should they? This is a multi-billion-dollar enterprise, college sports, and you can't build it on free labor. That's just not right.
Well, the argument was always they're getting their education. Look, I'm on your side on this. I really am. But, there's still a lot of people that say, look, they're getting a free college education. Well, the bottom line is Rick Pitino's been popping off on this a lot. Most of these kids really, either they graduated a couple years ago and they're still playing because they have eligibility, or they're not graduating.
Or they're getting a crappy education that's designed solely to make sure that they stay on that they remain eligible.
Yeah, that's
There's
more
a lot of
likely
that.
it. Yes, exactly. So how do you fit? Because I think you're right about this. And look, I've made the case that in my situation, you might even be able to say this here in St. Louis with St. Louis U and the success that they had this past season with this kid Robbie Avila and a coach that came from Indiana State a couple of years ago. But with the University of Missouri, my Tigers, either in basketball and in football, I'll use football as an example. I actually, thanks to Indiana and thanks to NIL, I now have at least a glimmer of hope that a school like mine and many others across the country can compete at the highest level of sports in the SEC. Without NIL, you're going to still have the Bamas, the Dukes in college basketball, KUs. The landscape has changed, and I think it gives fans a little bit more hope. Now, it's not perfect, and I don't know what's going to make it better, and I'm not sure what your recommendations would be to make it better. One thing, going to the portal, you just can't have the coaches jumping at the end of the season either. That has to be corrected, doesn't it?
Right. But that's the problem. You have a free market. You can't tell a coach in a free market that he can't jump to another school. You should do the same thing that you do with coaches to the players. Sign a contract. You go to a player and you say, I'd like you to be here for 3 years. I'll pay you X amount of money for each of the 3 years, but if you leave, you have to pay the money back. I think that would solve 3/4 of the transfer portal problem right there.
Well, do you think that the NCAA is aware of the challenges that they have and will move to fix some of these things?
No, the NCAA is very much aware of the problem.
Yeah.
The NCAA is definitely aware of the problem, but what they're doing instead is they're running to Congress, trying to get an antitrust exemption and trying to put the toothpaste back in the tube. That's what they're doing.
You told them,
and they're not saying no, don't pay NIL, but they want to be in control of it.
Yeah. You told an interesting story in this column, though, because your interest in this and your work on this actually goes back quite a ways, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah. I started this in 2011 when people thought I was nuts to be writing about this. Honestly, they did. I mean, it was Sonny Vaccaro and me, basically. And it took a long time for people to start to realized that an injustice was taking place here. And I really think a lot of the reason people started to come around was because the coaches started getting so much money. When you have football coaches in the SEC making $10 million a year, and when you have, strength coaches making $1 million a year, it becomes more and more absurd that you weren't paying the players.
I would completely agree with that. Yeah, absolutely. And I had to come around on this. If you go back, I don't know if you go back 10 years. I think I've been on this, train for a while. But certainly if you go back 20 years, I was in the camp that said, no, we can't pay these players. They're student athletes. They need to go to class. They need to get their degree. And we're giving them a free education. But I've evolved on that issue. I think a lot of people evolved. Look, one of the cases that you made when you were looking at this was the student athletes that you looked at and people who were being punished were always black, right? So there was a bit of a racial component here as well.
Well, I do believe that they never ever, when the SEC was always suspicious of, white mentors for black players. They were always investigating that, for instance. Or, one case that I wrote about was a freshman at UConn who was declared ineligible because a friend of his mother's, who was also a basketball coach, gave the mom money so she could visit UConn with the kid for his visit. And you just look at that and you just say, like a white middle-class person doesn't have that problem because they can afford the flight themselves.
Right.
So it just seemed, even though the NCAA would say, well, the standards are the same for everybody, the answer is, they're not, because some people have money and some people don't.
Yeah, we have, I'm trying to think of his name right now, Lawrence Bowers. He played for the University of Missouri about a decade ago, and he's working with the program right now, and he's specifically working on some of the NIL issues. And he was, a kid that told the story a few years ago, and there were a lot of kids like this, that his, and I might be getting some of the geography wrong, Joe, but I believe he was from Memphis. And, because of some of the stupid NCAA rules that existed, he couldn't even get his mom up here to see the games in Missouri, because you start paying for things for kids, then it becomes an infraction in all this. So we've come a long way on these things, and there's certainly evolution needed. We've taken one bad situation and maybe make it a little worse here temporarily, but I hope that they can work some of these things out, because we're not going back to the days where these kids aren't getting paid. We know that.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, Joe, thanks for coming on here, because they're important issues for sure. I thank you for writing about them.
Well, listen, I appreciate you having me. I really do.
All right, take care. Joe Nocera from the Free Press, and if you don't know the Free Press, you got to check out the FP.com.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Well, we had an accident southbound 55 approaching Gasconade. They got that moved off to the shoulder, but there's an accident northbound past Carondelet. And that one has been blocking the left lane. They're trying to get that out of the way. That's caused a jam. Southbound 55 essentially slowing at Bates. And to the south of there, it really is not bad. Now, westbound 40 is lined up. It's approaching Hampton out through McCausland. Eastbound slow at Big Bend. Westbound slow at 270. And then it really jams. We had an earlier accident approaching 70 in the right lane, which left us with a jam back through Highway N. 70 westbound looks pretty good. We're quiet through North County. On the Illinois side, expect a slow go. Eastbound at 157 due to road work. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Actually, I think I saw Stewie in here earlier from Stewart's American Mortgage. I think he was on the phone at the time, so I couldn't really ask him who he was here for. He might have been on Annie's show. He was on my show last week, and he's doing great work. The mortgage rates have kind of been fluctuating a little bit, but what Stewie wants you to know is you can save money with the Bagel Loan. The Bagel Loan is very unique to him. If you Google the Bagel Loan, all the information will come up. He has advantages that other lenders do not have here in St. Louis. One thing that I'm going to do right now is give you his cell phone. That's not very typical, right? But you can text him or call him and get all the information. It's Stewie and his son Jordan who handle all the business. The number is 314-324-4440. So you don't have to worry about customer service and trying to get to the next person. One of the great benefits here is you're going to have a mortgage guy that you can depend on, and you can go and you can ask questions of, and you'll have a great resource. And you pay less, because with the Bagel Loan, when you refi, it's a great time to do that. You pay no appraisal fees, no closing costs, no title fees, and no broker fees. If you've refinanced even over 3 years ago, it's time to look at that again on a new home. If you take out a loan for $200,000 or more, zero lender fees. And he has very quick closes in as little as 10 days. So check out the Bagel Loan, Google that, or call or text 314-324-4440, NMLS number 226715.
License number GL250000615.
We've seen all kinds of clogs, so remember the rule. Only flush 3 things. Number 1, number 2, and toilet paper.
What about my dinosaurs?
No.
My monster truck?
Nope.
What about...
If it's not the big 3, don't flush it.
But if someone does flush a dinosaur...
Call Grasser. We clear the clog and get things moving again.
Green is always Grasser at GrasserHomeservices.com.
The reason many of us hate insurance companies is because some of them act like bullies. I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. I've been dealing with these creatures my whole career. Whether it's a workers' comp claim, an auto accident, or a nursing home or medical mishap, the playbook is often the same: deny and delay. We became the largest injury firm in America for a reason. We fight the bullies. They know who we are, and I know it makes a difference for our clients. Just go to forthepeople.com and see our results and our verdicts after those bullies gave us their final offer. Hiring the wrong firm can be disastrous. Hiring the right firm could substantially increase your settlement. It's easy to get going. Visit forthepeople.com on your phone or computer, or call us on your cell at Pound Law, pound 529. Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm, forthepeople.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements. Past results afford no guarantee of future results. Every case is different and must be judged on its own merits.
According to MasterCard, nearly half of small businesses have been a victim of a cyber attack. As cybercrime escalates, ThrottleNet is calling on businesses to strengthen their security posture by taking a free online IT security audit right from your desk. This 3-minute online assessment provides an immediate score to see security gaps and vulnerabilities in your network. For 26 years, ThrottleNet has supported your business IT everything right here in St. Louis. In fact, no client of ThrottleNet has ever paid a ransom. So visit throttlenet.com/971 to take the free assessment today.
The Mark Reardon Show is St. Louis conservative.
Well, I have not spent a ton of time on what happened at LaGuardia Airport this morning, but we need to talk about it because this is crazy, and these things seem to be happening more often. What happened was there was a fire truck, a Port Authority aircraft rescue and firefighting vehicle that was responding to an incident that was unrelated to this, and it crossed a runway into the jet's path. This was an Air Canada CRJ 900 jet operated as Air Canada, an express flight by Jazz Aviation. That's a regional carrier in Canada, and there were 72 passengers and 4 crew members aboard. If you have not seen the video of this, it is just stunning. I mean, the entire front of the plane was sheared off. The pilots were killed. I cannot believe that the fire truck drivers are still alive. There was a flight attendant who was ejected from the plane, and she survived. They have 41 other injuries. I mean, if you see the video of this, you're going to be surprised that anyone survived because it could have been a lot worse. The Transportation Secretary, Sean Duffy, held the news earlier.
There was a CJR 900 from Montreal here to LaGuardia, operated by Air Canada Express and by Jazz. It collided with a Port Authority fire truck at approximately 11:45 p.m. last night. There were 72 passengers on the plane and 4 crew. Approximately 40 people were sent to the hospital after the crash. Several have also been released. As has been reported, the 2 pilots of the aircraft passed away in the crash last night.
So, again, 32 people have been released. It's unbelievable that more people weren't killed. Rebecca LeCoury is the 35-year-old flight attendant who was sitting on the left side of the plane right near an emergency exit. The plane made a huge noise, and that was his words. The pilots were hitting the brakes in an attempt to avoid the crash. She said, "I've never heard it before. It was like a grinding. A few seconds after that, you hear the collision." Now, what's happening here is this is going to be human error. You have the pilot and the co-pilot was killed, dozens of others injured. I'm going to play a little audio here. So the air traffic control communications at the time that have been posted on websites now appear to capture exactly when this happened. So the truck, as I mentioned, was going to a different incident. The truck requests and receives permission to cross the runway and gets that before you hear this air traffic controller telling the vehicle several times, "Stop, stop, stop." And you'll hear that in this audio here.
Truck 1 and Company, LaGuardia Tower. Truck 1 and Company. Truck 1 and Company, LaGuardia Tower, requesting to cross 4 at Delta. Truck 1 and Company, cross 4 at Delta. Truck 1 and Company, 4 at Delta. Frontier 4195 to stop there, please. Stop, truck 1, stop. Stop, truck 1, stop. Stop, truck 1, stop. No 2603, go around, runway heading 2000. 646.
Yeah.
646, I see you collide with vehicle in hold position.
Yeah, so that's after the collision. The controller, it was his fault.
I messed up. No, man, you did the best you could.
No, see what he said? He said, "I messed up."
I messed up. No, man, you did the best you could.
I don't know. I mean, it's hard for me. I don't know this industry, and I don't know exactly all of the responsibilities, certainly, of air traffic controllers. But we got to look at this one pretty carefully and see what happened here, because there's certainly somebody or something to blame. I mentioned the news conference. Sean Duffy, one of the things that came up instantly, this is with the people who are Trump deranged, this is Trump's fault because you've had staffing, shortages, all this DEI stuff. So Sean Duffy is kind of deflect on the politics here.
This airport has a target of 37 controllers at LaGuardia. We have 33 controllers employed, certified at LaGuardia, and we have 7 that are in training. So as our airports go, LaGuardia is a very well-staffed airport. We're a couple controllers short in total, but it is a well-staffed airport. Again, 33 certified controllers that operate out of the tower here at LaGuardia.
Yeah, so they did not have staffing issues at all there, it seems.
I've been asking the Congress for additional money. Many of you have reported that we need more money for air traffic control. We are modernizing our system, but we can't fully modernize it until the Congress gives us additional money. It's not a partisan issue. Both Democrats and Republicans agree, but they have to have the will to finish the funding. I'm not saying that this crash would have been prevented if we had all the equipment deployed, but it's important if we care about air travel safety. We care about having a brand new air traffic control system, the best in the world with the best equipment, virtually all of it developed here in America.
So we'll wait for some details on that, but that is a terrible thing that could have been a lot worse. I am shocked if you look at that video. I mean, they just slammed into one another. Apparently, this was probably a good thing. I don't know. That plane lands and, they're hitting the brakes. They're down at first. They land. They're 151 miles an hour. They say that at the time of the crash, they were only moving at 24 miles an hour. It looks faster than that to me. But that, if you've seen the cockpit, right? The cockpit is completely sheared off. Like, well, it is unreal when you see the video of this. One other issue I wanted to talk about here, we have Martin Coco coming up from the Cardinals. He's going to guide you into exactly how to watch baseball this season. I mentioned this last week, and this is something else. Sarah Huckabee Sanders, the governor of Arkansas, who I think is outstanding, and she's doing a great job down there, is former White House press secretary. She's having lunch at a place called the Croissanterie in Little Rock. And the situation, the story's been evolving a little bit, but she had been in there. They had dinner. They paid for dinner. They were tipping. The security detail was informed by the restaurant that they were being asked to leave. And she decided that they would leave without making a scene. But then there were people that were shouting, it's time to leave. And there's allegations that people were giving the governor the middle finger. Now, who exactly was affected by this? Well, apparently it's the gay and lesbian staff at the restaurant because they put out this long story that kind of explained diplomatically why they did this, and they had to do this for their staff. They say, when we became aware that the governor had arrived at the restaurant, announced, we were surprised and uncertain how best to respond. By the time we entered the dining room, she was already seated and eating. At that point, we chose not to interrupt, expecting that the party would complete their meal and depart without an issue. However, as the presence of her security detail became more widely noticed by both employees and guests, questions were raised about them remaining in the restaurant. As business owners and members of this community, we recognize that any course of action carried consequences. Allowing her to stay risks being perceived as a lack of support for the community that makes up the majority of our team, as well as their families and friends. I guess that's because they're gay. I guess. Conversely, asking her to leave could be viewed as denying service based on differing beliefs. You think? Ultimately, they say we made the decision to support our employees and guests who expressed that they were uncomfortable. To clarify, we do not recall any statements indicating that anyone felt threatened. They say an hour into the visit, a member of the security detail was quietly approached and asked to encourage the governor to conclude her visit. I'd say F you, right? As she had finished dining. So she was done eating and they were just hanging out. That's what you do, right? Beverages were offered to the party for the road. Nearly 30 minutes later, the party remained on the premises. So they're at a 90, this is what the restaurant says, they're at a 90-minute table, seating limit, right? The security detail was approached a second time. They're informed that 10 minutes remained. Around this time, another customer attempted to involve themselves. This was not someone from the staff. After reviewing camera footage, we confirmed that a member of the security detail did send a message to the governor following the initial request. However, it was not seen at the time. Once the message was received, she and her party departed without incident. So as soon as she was told, she gets out of there, right? So the restaurant says it's important to note that many guests in the main dining room were unaware of the situation. There was no applause or disruption, as has been suggested. Additionally, the individual made an inappropriate hand gesture was a customer, not an employee, because someone flipped her off, right? But then, so that sounds, when you read what the restaurant said, it sounds like a couple owners of a restaurant that were in a tough position with employees and with the people there, and they were trying to make the good decision. But you know what they did? The very next moment, the people that work at the Croissanterie, They said, "Good morning, Sarah Huckabee Sanders. No amount of evil you send our way can ever take our smiles away. I'm proud to work here. I'm proud to be gay, and I'm proud to be an Arkansan. My voice matters. Try again." So obviously, any of this diplomatic BS crap that they're trying to spit out about why they do this is lies. And, two things can happen here, and people will make choices, right? Maybe the business spikes because you have a lot of people that hate Trump and hate Sarah Huckabee Sanders, and, they'll get more business. But obviously, some people are not going to go to that restaurant anymore because of the way that they treated her and the way that they treated this whole situation. Here's what she says.
Now our country is in a battle between what is normal versus what is crazy. And unfortunately, there are a few crazies out there, and they have very loud voices. And they asked me to leave a restaurant recently, but I think that it gives us an opportunity to hold our heads high and show the normal.
So I think Sarah Huckabee Sanders, Governor Sanders, performed extremely well in this moment. In fact, when she wrote about it on social media last week, she didn't even mention the restaurant. She wasn't highlighting the restaurant or targeting the restaurant or anything like that. They made this a story. Then the media followed up. But you know what really pisses me off, and I think should piss the governor's staff and her off, is not the way that they tried to get her out of there, but that spiking the ball tweet saying any evil you send our way. What the hell are you talking about? I hope they didn't tip well.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
We've got some volume on 55 tonight. There is an accident reported again. This one's south of Broadway, and that's created a serious jam. We already had a jam. There was another accident reported, this one near Loughborough. Crews have been working with one northbound past Carondelet, so kind of a mess in that area. Once you get to the, let's call it south of Loughborough for southbound drivers, things open up and look much better. Southbound 170 slowing at 64. Southbound 270 is in pretty good shape. Northbound, we had an accident reported near Ladue Road. There's some volume there. 70 westbound looks great out of downtown. 6440 isn't bad. And if you're headed into Illinois, we're fine on the bridges. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
I'd tell you about, there was something that happened apparently over the weekend near my house. I heard a bunch of sirens, and then I went on the Facebook, and I saw that there was something near Paradise Valley, where I live, that was a bit of a wildfire. And I think I told you about this last week. So I was driving from my High Ridge Walmart. You know how much I love that.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, I heard from someone who works at that Walmart, and she's so glad. Not that works there, but she's someone who distributes food or something, and says that she told the manager at the High Ridge Walmart, and he wanted to meet me sometime. So I might have to go in there and, say hi to the guy, because I love his story. I really do.
You do.
But I'm on my way back from that, and I noticed that there is in the middle, so I'm on Gravois heading, that would be west, and right as I approach, there's a shopping complex there that has Schnucks. Right before that light, there's a bunch of grass on fire in the middle of the road.
Wow.
And next thing I knew, there's a fire truck coming. Well, you don't really see that much here, but there was, I don't know if someone threw a cigarette out or something like that, but the same thing happened at Paradise Valley yesterday. So there were fire trucks, and by the way, they weren't able to get there as quickly as they should have been because of a continued road closure, but it's so dry out there that some of this stuff is just catching fire.
And
right?
windy.
Well, that's probably what happened over the weekend, too, for sure. All right, Game Day Men's Health. Matt Lawrence, met with him a couple of weeks ago. He's awesome. He's got a great clinic in Chesterfield, Game Day Men's Health, and it really is built to make healthcare easy, efficient, and comfortable. They respect your time, which is why they have this offer out there for a 1-hour visit. You get some blood work done in 20 minutes. You get the results. The on-site lab allows you to get the blood work review results and have a full consultation in that 1 hour, and they're very proud of keeping to that time limit. They make it very convenient for you if you're busy to get answers. You don't have to take a half day off work, et cetera, or waste a lot of time in a waiting room. They really are a concierge-style clinic with ongoing access to your provider and medical team. And you're not just handed medication and sent on your way. It's a situation where they consult, they offer advice, maybe some medicine. They emphasize follow-up, monitoring, and support. And Game Day really combines medical expertise with a high-end, comfortable experience. I think you're going to find that out. They have their own pharmacy. That makes pricing a lot better as well. And really, it's testosterone PSA test is what they're offering you. But if you're interested in vitamin therapy, peptides have blown up, medical weight loss, all of that. Even with the medical weight loss, they do have women's services as well. Game Day Men's Health in Chesterfield at Highway 6440. Cody, Clarkson, and Olive. The website, GameDayMen'sHealth.com.
How long should you keep your old tax returns? I'm Brian Brenberg, co-host of The Big Money Show with your Fox Business Tax Tip. The digital age makes filing easier, but remember to save your return. Experts advise keeping returns and receipts available in the event you're audited or need to make an update. Managing partner of Greenlight Tax Group, Demry Henry.
After 3 years, you're good to go. We tell our clients to keep them 5 to 7 years. We're a lot more conservative. But if you're putting it on your computer, just save it there. You're in good shape.
And if you lose the documents, there is a backup.
You can go to irs.gov and pull your transcripts and get exactly what the IRS has.
Brian Brenberg, Fox News.
What if every time you spent money, you saved money too? With Achieve It Checking from Together Credit Union, you can do just that. Every debit card purchase is rounded up to the nearest dollar, and the spare change goes right into your savings. And here's the best part. Together Credit Union boosts your progress by matching qualifying savings, up to $8 a month. It's a free checking account that helps you achieve more automatically. Learn more, or better yet, enroll today at togethercu.org. Together Credit Union, federally insured by NCUA.
Midwest winters take a real toll on your garage door. Let my friends at Overhead Door Company of St. Louis come out and perform their 26-point tune-up on your garage door and opener. The work is guaranteed, and it's just one price for up to 3 garage doors and openers. No extra charge for evening or Saturday service. Overhead Door Company of St. Louis, since 1926, 100 years. Schedule online at overheaddoorsstlouis.com. That's overheaddoorsstlouis.com.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
5:38. This portion of the show is sponsored by Jerry Kelly, heating, air conditioning, electrical, and plumbing.
Freedom has a frequency. 97.1 FM Talk. 97.1 FM Talk. St. Louis Conservative.
I want to get Dave Murray on here either tomorrow or Wednesday. We're looking at maybe record highs for opening day, around 90, maybe even in excess of 90. One question that I've had, and I was hit by a listener or two last week about this too, like, where are you going to watch the games? I'm a little unclear. I have YouTube TV. I honestly do not know how I'm going to watch the games, but I'm going to find out here. Martin Coco is with us, Senior Director of Marketing for the St. Louis Cardinals, talking about this issue because we're finally here at opening day, just around the corner. Martin, how are you?
I'm doing great. Happy opening week.
Oh, my goodness. I'm so glad that it's finally here. We had talked about the World Baseball Classic quite a bit. I thought that was a great primer for the season. And obviously, we all know there's a rebuild going. But for those of us who are Cardinals fans and baseball fans, it's a magical time of year. And by the way, are we going to set a record high for opening day on Thursday?
Well, that's one of the things we can never control or predict is the weather. So we'll take warm weather. You know, we've had snow on opening day before. We've had super cold weather, so if it's a little warmer than usual, I'm okay with that.
I'm with you because I did, when I was on the other side of the building on KMOX, I did many of those opening day broadcasts with Tom Ackerman and everyone. You probably even dropped by, and it was really, really cold in that tent. In 93 with, no humidity or any humidity is not too bad at all. All right, but as I indicated in the open, like here I am, Martin. I'll just tell you my real-life example. I like to make things all about me, so we'll start that way. I have been watching, FanDuel, whatever we're calling it, on Prime for the last year and a half, all right? I had it on Fubo. I got rid of Fubo. I realized that it was available on Prime, so I signed up for that deal. I'm literally in a situation right now, and maybe this is because I haven't done enough effort, and this is what this afternoon's about. I don't know how I'm going to watch Cardinals baseball on Thursday. I just don't know what to do and what the steps are. So I've had listeners say that too. So can you guide us through it a little bit?
Sure. We've heard that question quite a bit, Mark, and that's the main message we've been trying to get across to fans is the way that you have watched in the past on TV will be available to you again this year. So if you're a streamer, like it sounds like you were,
right?
We have direct to consumer is sort of the inside term that we use for you don't have to have a subscription to any particular cable or satellite provider. You can subscribe to Cardinals TV through the Cardinals website or on your phone. And if you watch on your smart TV or on a tablet or on your phone or however people choose to stream, that's available to you as it has been in the past. There's a monthly option that's $19.99 a month, or you can pay for the full season. That gets you a little bit of a discount. That's $99 for the full season. So that's for the streamer out there. If you're a cable subscriber or a satellite, for example, DirecTV satellite, that option is available too, as it has been in the past. The only thing that might change for you is the channel number that you've watched on in the past. So that doesn't actually require any additional level of subscription. So if you're a Spectrum, Charter Spectrum cable subscriber, if you have DirecTV, for example, all you need to know is what the channel number is. Now, there's a little bit of a catch there, which is we don't know the channel numbers yet. So but you can't watch yet.
Yes,
there's no
exactly.
games yet. So that's the one piece that we're still waiting on MLB to finalize those partnership deals. We are expecting, and what we're told from Major League Baseball is we will get the channel numbers on opening day. So for the cable and satellite viewer, that's what pay attention. We send an email out on opening day. We'll have it on Cardinal social media. We'll publicize it to all the local media what the channel numbers are, so you'll be ready to watch on Thursday.
So I have YouTube TV, and I've never watched the Cardinals on YouTube TV. Is that one of the streaming options or not? Do you know?
That has not been in the past.
Yeah.
So, like, for example, last year with FanDuel, YouTube TV did not carry Cardinals baseball.
Right.
So I don't expect that it will be this year. We don't have the full final list, but the first pass that MLB is making is everyone who did carry it last year. So some of those, you had mentioned Fubo, I mentioned Charter or Spectrum, DirecTV, some of those major providers. And then we also know there's listeners in some of the outer market areas that have watched through smaller cable providers in some smaller, maybe rural areas. Those we expect to have on board as well.
So in my, and I hate to, again, I told you I always make it about me, but in my situation with Amazon, so that was an add-on with Prime, does it just automatically, will it be there and they charge me, or do I have to sign up for something specifically through a website?
No, it will not be available through Amazon Prime.
Okay, so I'm done with
change.
Prime, right? So
you are, yeah.
Okay, so then what is my Martin? I'm so sorry to do it, but then what is my best option? Like, I was getting it on Prime. It's not going to be on YouTube TV. So what is then your recommendation for people like that? To go to MLB TV, or where would you go?
That's right.
Okay.
If you download the MLB app, that's one way to do it. And just subscribe directly through the MLB app.
Right.
You can also just go to cardinals.tv, which is a website. So cardinals.tv and subscribe directly there. Either one of those paths will get you to the either monthly or seasonal subscription.
Some fans have expressed, concern that, these games that they've gotten over the years where they didn't have to pay additional costs are now going to have to do that. But as you indicated, and I didn't know this, that, for those outlets that were carrying the games, they'll still be doing that.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Yes, that is correct. And the other thing I didn't mention, there's another layer to this, which is a positive. We have a partnership with Gray Media, which locally is KMOV,
right.
Channel 4, and Matrix Midwest, their sports channel. We will have 10 games on over-the-air TV as well this year. So there's a selection of Friday night games. If you're someone who's not a streamer or a cable subscriber, there will still be a selection of games available just through old-fashioned over-the-air TV on Channel 4.
So, and then the best place to find information out that would be the Cardinals TV website?
That's right.
Cardinals.tv?
Yeah, that's where you can subscribe, but there's actually a more comprehensive page, which is cardinals.com/watch.
Okay.
WATCH. And that has the full info on all of these different options.
I would say, look, if it's confusing for me, this is one of the reasons I wanted to spend a little time on this today. It's got to be confusing for other people. And maybe we're making it more confusing than it should be. But I just don't remember a time where I didn't exactly know what I was doing to watch these games. And I guess, let me, I don't know if you're the best person to ask this, but because FanDuel also has the Blues games and I'm getting those through Amazon, that's going to be a separate deal as well, right?
That's right. Yeah, I'm not. I don't have info on where that goes moving forward. But yes, in the past couple of years, both FanDuel had both Blues and Cardinals, now it would be a separate product, yes.
It's so confusing. Martin, Coco, thanks, though, for kind of sorting some of it out here this afternoon because, again, I've heard from a fair amount of listeners, and I had the issue myself where I was curious, but we're definitely ready for baseball here in St. Louis. Enjoy the warm weather on Thursday. I get a little bummed out because I used to cover all these opening days. That gave me the afternoon off, too. I have to work over on the FM side, so I know that you have empathy for me, Martin, but enjoy opening day.
Sounds great. We have plenty of empathy. You can come to another game.
Yes, I can. All right, take care. Thank you so much.
All right. Thanks.
All right. Hopefully that helped a little bit. Just to make it clear, in case the audience was confused, I was essentially trying to help myself. It's the advantage of having, there is a big advantage of having your own radio show because you can make it all about yourself, which I'm pretty good at.
Well,
so that's what I wanted to do. But look,
gift.
Realistically, and I'm being serious here, I had heard from listeners, and it's confusing. Right?
No, it is confusing. And I'm sure others are having that problem.
Well, we'll try to figure it out. I mentioned before the segment that Brian Kilmeade is coming back to St. Louis. He liked the factory so much that he's going to come back on November 21st. We had such a great time with Brian about a year ago. The factory has been nice enough to gift us some tickets for this, so I have a chance for you to win a pair of tickets right now. If you're caller number 7 on the contest line, 314-241-9797. The great thing about the factory is there's like no bad seats in the whole place.
True.
Right, so you get a pair of tickets. You're going to have a great time. Caller number 7, Ethan will take your call. We have audio cut of the day coming up next.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Well, when we last spoke, 55 was a mess. It's a much better now. So if you are on southbound 55, we've got some moderate volume headed down toward the Loughborough area. It's northbound that still has a lane blocked by an accident approaching Loughborough. And let's see, southbound after that is fine. Westbound 40 looks pretty good. 70 westbound looks okay as well. And if you're headed into Illinois, we are quiet on the bridges downtown. 70 eastbound, a little slow at 64. That, of course, due to road work. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
All right, well, we did get our winner, and we'll have tickets to give away each and every day this week, so that'll be fun, something to look forward to. That's a long way in the distance, but you know what? I can't believe, like you were just saying this earlier, so we're already on our last Fish Fry broadcast.
How is that possible?
I know, doesn't seem possible. Michael's Flooring Outlet has 3 great locations in the St. Louis area. If you need flooring, soft flooring, hard flooring, flooring repairs, inspiration for flooring, you got it at Michael's with their 3 locations. I've gotten to know Mike Reynolds and his team pretty well. I'm just telling you, going into one of the stores is awesome because there's so many products. You may see something, or maybe someone on the team will talk you into a product that you might not even thought of. And this is going to depend on lifestyles. So if you have pets, if you don't have pets, if you have kids, if you don't have kids, depending on where you are with price point, you can do these projects on a budget. I was blown away when I did a flooring project in my home with Michael's, and we were taking carpeting out, putting some hard flooring in. I didn't know budget-wise what I was facing, but it was very reasonable. I even saved myself a little money because I'm cheap. I pulled the carpeting out of 2 of the bedrooms. They can do that for you, of course, but they're going to take great care of you. They're open 6 days a week. They do have off on Sundays in Old Town St. Peters, in Darling Prairie, and in West County on Olive, and the website, IGotFloor.com, Michael's Flooring Outlet.
This month, 97.1 FM Talk in Action spotlights Helmets First, a nonprofit promoting kid safety through free bike helmets, education, and partnerships with local police. Officers help fit helmets and connect with kids in the community. Learn how you can help at helmetsfirst.com.
Heidi Ricken Provost of Ricken Financial understands the importance of financial stability in your retirement plans.
If there's something we can do to help benefit your financial future and provide more strength and stability in your retirement plan, that's exactly what we do here. And we do so on a complimentary basis.
Call today, 314-207-6211 or online at rickenfinancial.com and join us for Kickin' with the Rickens, Sundays at 1 p.m. right here on 97.1 FM Talk. Investment advisory products and services made available through Impact Partnership Wealth, LLC, IPW, a registered investment advisor.
You can feel the Clydesdales circling the field. Hear the stands come alive. Smell the hot dogs, the popcorn, and cold beer in the air. See the crowd rise as the first pitch hits the glove. And just like that, a new season begins. The countdown is on until opening day, and tickets start at just $49. Don't miss St. Louis's favorite holiday. Get your tickets at cardinals.com/opening day.
Hot matchup, colder drinks, only at Busch Stadium when the Cardinals host the Tampa Bay Rays on Sunday, March 29th. Fans will take home a stainless steel Cardinals tumbler presented by Coca-Cola and Quick Trip. Designed to lock in the cold and show off your Cardinals pride, it's the perfect companion for 9 innings and beyond. A practical addition to any Cardinals collection that'll keep you cool all game long. Tickets are available at cardinals.com/promotions.
This is Nolan Gorman. Get your tickets now at cardinals.com.
Hi, I'm Jane Pushkar.
I'm Lauren Greenwood.
I'm David Jaworski.
We're running for the Francis House School Board with an important message. It's time to stop wasteful spending and focus on what's most important, our children's education.
I'm running because I believe in parental rights.
I'm running because our children's future depends upon conservative involvement.
Together, we can make a huge difference. It's critical that you vote conservative on April the 7th for Pushkar, Greenwood, and Jaworski. We're number 1, 2, and 3 on the ballot.
Paid for by Francis Howe Families, Allie Beardsley, Treasurer.
How can you free your team from time-consuming office tasks? Amazon Business. Smart business buying tools enable buyers to find and purchase items fast so they can focus on strategy and growth. Free up your teams and focus on your future. Learn more at amazonbusiness.com.
Mark Reardon is St. Louis conservative.
Hey, Sue, remember a couple of weeks ago we were talking about how the Eagles did that first show ever without Joe Walsh, right?
Oh, yeah.
I have some, and I don't have time to do it right now. I was going to try to squeeze it in here, but I'm going to do it tomorrow, I promise. Some amazing audio, and I know that you love them as I do, with Vince Gill, because they had tough decisions to make, because that was one of the shows at the Sphere, and he talks about how Don Henley called him, and there were a couple of different plans, but you'll love the audio. I'll play that for you tomorrow. I wanted to use it as part of Cut of the Day, but I don't have time.
Stand by. Playback ready. Now, the audio cut of the day.
So we'll go down to Memphis. That's where President Trump was this morning. Talked about Elvis just a little bit, but the gaggle in the press questions were about Iran. One of the decisions that he's made is he's not going to target any of the energy facilities in Iran while discussions are going on. There seem to be some diplomatic efforts that might be positive right now, at least according to the president.
Based on preliminary conversations between the United States and Iran over the past 2 days, I've directed the Department of War to temporarily postpone planned strikes against major energy and electricity targets in Iran. They have very, very big new, actually, and very expensive, billions of dollars it costs to build them. One missile, one of our powerful ones, and it comes down to the ground like it was made out of dust. But to determine whether a broader agreement can be reached, we've had very good discussions, very, very good discussions.
It's hard to tell who he's talking about the discussions are taking place with, but he says that Iran is ready to talk about these things.
They want peace. They've agreed they will not have a nuclear weapon, et cetera, et cetera. But we'll see. You have to get it done. But I would say there's a very good chance. And it began when I said that I won't be. We were planning tomorrow on shooting down some of their power plants, and we're going to hold that up. Hopefully we won't have to do it, and hopefully we can make a deal that's good for all of us, including the Middle Eastern allies that have been very good to us, including Israel, that's been a great partner in this fight.
A lot of optimism there on diplomacy. We did not have that shared from our friend Charles Lipson, who weighed in on this issue a couple of hours ago. I don't know. Diplomacy with Iran never seems to really work, but obviously the threats are still out there. On the topic of Memphis, he was at Graceland.
Memphis, I guess you probably heard the crime numbers are way down. Most of them are down by 75% and more. And within 2-3 months, we'll have it down to over 90%. So you have to be happy. Elvis would be very happy about that, right?
Everyone loves Elvis.
I love Elvis, too. Elvis, they all say, did you know Elvis? So I knew Frank Sinatra. I knew most of them. Unfortunately, I never met Elvis, and that would be one I would have liked a lot. But I do like his music, I will say. So thank you for inviting me. I appreciate it.
Thank you for coming and visiting us.
Okay, let's take a look.
All right. So welcome to the living room.
Oh, that's
Do a
great.
little tour of the that show Paradise that's on Amazon Prime with Sterling K. Brown. The second season, I've only watched the first episode, and it was very intriguing, but it is framed around a tour guide at Graceland.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, it's kind of, and so they recreate. I've been to Graceland. I've never been inside the mansion because I was doing some TV work there. Long story.
Okay.
Didn't have the time, but
it's wild.
Right. Well, so and I've seen pictures, but in Paradise they recreate all of the mansion.
Oh, that's
in
cool.
Very, excellent creative ways. Sue, we'll talk again tomorrow at 3. Have a great night.
It. Thank you.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Well, we've got a report of a stall northbound 55 past Highway A. It was on the left side, kind of on the left shoulder. So just be aware. And we had some volume, too, on northbound 55. They're still there blocking the left lane. This is an accident past Carondelet. And, of course, we only have 2 lanes that are open. It's in the never-ending construction zone there, so that is causing a delay. But other than that, we look pretty good. Westbound 64 is in great shape. 70 is quiet through North County and looking good on the bridges downtown. This report is brought to you by Barron Mirror Glass and Door. They have the largest, most beautiful showroom in all of St. Louis, and they've got the most latest custom designs. It's right there in Chesterfield Valley, and there you'll see why they say creativity unlimited, quality unsurpassed. That's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Well, I love the Missouri Athletic Club. I have a racquetball match scheduled for this week out at MAC West, but I've been recommending, they do great speaker events, and they have a lot of great guests that come in on a regular basis. And this is certainly one I think you want to target. I'm going to try to be there myself for the end of April. It's Tuesday, April 28th at the Downtown Clubhouse. Some of the people who hear on the show on a regular basis, Attorney General Catherine Hanaway will be there. The U.S. Attorney for this district, Thomas Albus, will be there. Gabe Gore, our St. Louis Circuit Attorney, and the U.S. Attorney for the Western District of Missouri, Matthew Price. And that's going to be just a topic about crime and some of the things that have happened here, progress I think we made in the last couple years, how prosecutors work across jurisdictions, explain what success looks like for each office. This is a great opportunity to have lunch and really learn a lot. Again, it's part of the MAC Speaker Series, and it takes place on April 28th. Of course, you need to reserve your spot for that. There is a cost, but you're going to hear some great speakers on that day. Tuesday, April 28th, downtown, mac-stl.org for more.
Beat the spring cleaning rush and call our cleaning heroes at Zero Res. This month, buy one, get one room of carpet clean for free, unlimited